Okay. Okay. Good. Good. And now it is Postman, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I think you all are already aware about what are the prerequisites for the course. Like I'm assuming you all know what are the concept of Salesforce admin, at least the data model part. What is the data model, that how to create objects, fields, and all those. And then Salesforce development, especially develop the classes, asynchronous apex, or batch, serializable. Not the, I would say, kind of advanced concept, but at least the basics concept that you know. Because what I have noticed in my previous sessions, when I was talking about the projects or the talking about the integration things, what I have noticed is people have enrolled, they don't know the basics, and they really gave me the bad reviews. Like we don't understand this, that, and also that really, I would say, it really hurts if you don't know, like what is the um, purpose of the review. So that's the reason here we have. Okay. And then I think SQL queries is a very basic concept that we would be doing it throughout the course. And I'm sure we all have got our brand new org. The reason I'm asking for the brand new org, because in that org we will have no other code, no other configurations or nothing. So that will be easy for us to kind of pace through the course. Otherwise, what happens if we have the existing code, it usually kind of sometimes the existing triggers is breaking and all those. So we basically get into those kind of things where we don't have something related to our course. And Postman, I think we all have already downloaded Postman. But these are the three links, really important for us. So please keep those links. Okay. The first one is to download the Postman. I think you can always ignore this. Second one is to understand the pre-request script in Postman. This is a very interesting concept for Postman. Then there is a chai.js, because we are running the courses in the morning, so we will have tea in the middle. Just kidding. This is a library for assertion library for Postman. And important thing, because these sessions are going to be somewhere 3 hours or 3.5 hours long, please try to engage, because this is what these live classes means to be. So try to ask the questions, any questions that you have in your mind. It could be very basic to basic, because if you keep asking the basic questions, once you are out of the class today, tomorrow, or after the completion of the course, you will have all the knowledge that you need. Because sometimes I might miss some point, sometimes I don't forget, or I think this is not important, but it happens. It says that okay, uh, we like I think that it's not important, or I think that okay, you all guys already know, and sometimes some of you don't know, right? So don't hesitate, basically, because we all are here to learn. So don't think that if I ask the question, what the someone from the class will think, or if I ask the question, what Amit will think. Okay, don't worry about that, because I really have done this kind of mistake in my college days as well as in my initial working days. So that really hurts after a certain amount of time, where you really don't have the ability to go back and change the things, right? So that's my personal request to all of you. And a few things that I really used to share with my every course, that is how you can succeed with the course, which are like some of the points that I have made here. Make your own notes. I'm definitely going to share this, maybe at the end of the class today, or maybe at the end of the course. We'll see how we wanted to share this. Use your laptops, and basically the motto is saying use your laptop is don't just watch the videos. Mm, Use it. Actually, use it. Log into your Salesforce org, create the class, create the whatever we are doing. Do it, repeat it, whatever. So the first step is do whatever I'm doing, and then try to make the modifications, try to play around with it, experiment the things. That's the main motto of saying use your laptop. Then it is maintain your code repository. This is also very important. I have seen many people don't do this. So create your own GitHub repo. We are always going to share our repository, but create your own repo for assignments, for interview questions, for whatever the code you are writing. So what will happen? It will be easy for me as well to see what you're doing as part of assignments or as part of any other things that we will be doing. It would be very easy for you as well to go back and then see the things how you have done, what are you have done. If later on in your future, if you really need to kind of go through with the concept again, you will have those things with you. Ask the questions, be curious about the things, track your progress. We usually don't do this tracking the progress, but that's really important. Please do track your progress. What is your goal? How much you have achieved? All those things. And the very important is don't compete with any others. Like he knows every single bit of integration, but you don't. Compete with yourself. Whatever you are today, try to be better tomorrow. I think these are all the things which I'm telling you guys already know, but I'm just repeating it. Well, and then sometimes what happens, we really don't understand the things, and then we just take a break, and then we just take a break. We don't come back. So take a break. Sometimes, let's say after the class, you're watching the recording and you're not getting it is going above your head. So just take a break, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, have a tea or coffee, or maybe have a walk, and then come back. It's really important for us to be back. That's really important concept. If we don't come back, we don't learn anything. Because that's what I have observed is we start, we follow for a few days, then we stop. Then again after some day or some week we start, we follow for a few days, and then we again stop. So instead of being inconsistent, let's try to be consistent and make full uses of this course, whatever we are going to learn. So that's what I usually prefer to say to everyone, how you can succeed with the course. And it's not about just the course. If you apply these in your life anywhere, in any area, I'm damn sure you all are going to be success. So that's what we have. So with that, um, we are going to see something on Postman. But before that, anything, um, any such thing that you guys want to go through or something?
So Amit, just a small question. So let's say if we have any doubt after the class, will we be
Mm-hmm.
sharing our question in the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, please do add your question in the WhatsApp group, or what we will do is we'll create a maybe Word document for session wise. Let's say this today is session number one. We'll create a Word document with all of you,
Okay.
uh, saying session number one, and you all can add your questions there. I think that would be a good place for us to maintain the repository.
So once we have the question organized, do you mean that in the next session we are going to resolve them first before we start covering another topic?
It could be to it could be in a different way. Like if we have more sessions, which we think it is sorry, more questions, which we'll think it will take much time. Maybe we will have a complete out solving session. But yeah, if we have few questions, like let's say 5 or 7 questions, we'll take them, and then we'll go with the next session.
Okay,
And we
got
can
it.
also, like, if you add the questions in the docs, we'll also try to answer add the answers in the document itself, so that because there could be a possibility some of the answers are very easy,
Yeah,
so it will be very easy for everyone to understand,
sure. Yeah, totally agree.
right?
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's what we are going to do. So, okay, anything else?
Oh, Amit, this is Sagar.
Hey,
Question.
Ashagar.
Yeah, it is not nothing. It's not related to only we need to ask any questions specific to integration, right? If you have any curiosity about Salesforce, like somewhere I stuck with on Apex, a small doubts I can able to raise with you.
Yeah, but I would suggest to maybe raise it in WhatsApp group or somewhere. The
Okay.
reason I'm saying because if we kind of start taking the doubts from the other topics in the class, we might
Mhm.
not able to complete it on time.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that that's it. Anything else?
Yeah, maybe Shashidhar here.
Hey,
Uh,
Shashi.
yeah, so yeah, I have like a very good amount of experience in Salesforce, but unfortunately, I never got a chance to work in any integration project. So yeah, this is the topic where I'm lagging completely. So if whenever I'm going for interviews and all, like people are asking, like what are the basic things you will consider when you are working on integration project? So like that and all. So I hope all these things will be covered here, right?
Yeah, we will cover all those things. Okay, so moving forward, I believe everyone has got your Postman, and that's what we are going to do here. A couple of things, not everything we are going to do, but couple of things that we are going to do here is once you have opened your Postman, or if you have downloaded for the first time, I think then you need to look into this. But if you are using it for a long time, if you have ever done, you might already aware about all these things. So basically, once you have opened your Postman, what you have to do is you have to go to the workspace and you need to click on create workspace and keep selected this blank workspace, click on next. And here you have to, first of all, you have to say only me. You don't need to select anything else. And then you just say whatever the name you want. For example, Salesforce integration or something. So this is the workspace related to Salesforce integration. So, and then click on create. So if you do this, you are going to see something like this. And this is the place where you are going to work on every single concept related to integration. Then you will see that there is something called create collection. Click on create collection and you give the name. For example, uh, I'm just saying Salesforce. So basically, just to give you an overview about what this collection is. So collection is kind of a folder where you can organize your request of multiple. Uh, it could be creating a record. It could be getting a record of any external system. So what we usually do is we say, okay, for example, we are going to integrate with LinkedIn. So what we do is we say, okay, we are going to create a collection, and that collection is going to be named as LinkedIn, and we are going to do every single operation, every single thing related to this LinkedIn. Similarly, Salesforce. Similarly, if you are going to learn with let's say Google, so just say Google APIs or something, right? So you will have Google APIs here. So whatever you are working with the external system, just create a collection and you will see all those collections here. So like we've got 3 collections, right? And then for example, in the Salesforce, you could also create multiple folders. So because Salesforce is no other, every other technologies have every single thing, and the basic thing about integration is authentication, because without authenticating we cannot do anything. So if we have to do that, we can click on these 3 dots and then create a, say, add folder. And if you click on add folder, we can just say, let's say authentication is for auth. And if you click on add a request will be added here. So that is how you are going to organize your work, and it will be easy for you to refer it later on in future whenever you want. So let's say you learned the experience today and then you want to apply it after 2 years, and you know that, okay, I've done it in Postman. Now let me go ahead and figure it out what I have done. So you will see every single thing over here. Okay, so that's the very important thing about Salesforce collection. Like there are so many, but this is one of them, right? Next thing that I would recommend is please go ahead and make sure that you're logged into your Postman, because if you are logged in, anything you are doing it is getting backed up to the cloud. And in future, if you're changing your machine, your PC, what will happen is your complete collection will be synced into different machine. So that's why just log in it, and then it's kind of getting backed up in the cloud in the Postman, and it's free, so you can create as many as collections, request, whatever you want, you can do that. Okay, and the next thing that we have for Postman is that is environment. Okay, so environment are kind of you can consider as a sandbox for Salesforce. So if you have dev sandbox, you could have dev environment. If you have UAT sandbox, you could have UAT environment, that kind of thing. And this will be very useful for us. Let's say we are saying Salesforce dev sandbox, right? Then we are saying LinkedIn, and then we are saying Google API. So what basically we are going to do is, if you see, as soon as we created an environment, um, it gives us an option to create the variables, right? Like type of default. Let's say if I say uh, client ID or something, just for example, okay, don't worry about this. And then what is the type? It is a default. Default means if I say ABC underscore, this is going to be visible to all the users. But if there is something that you have secret, if you say secret and you type anything, it will not be visible to anyone. To see that, you have to click on this eye icon. Okay, so that is the environments are really important for us, because we are going to store all the details which we will be using under environments, or we will be using the details under collections, because under collections also we have variable. But under collections, when we are creating variables, we don't have the um, ability to define if it is a secret. Secret means sensitive information or not. So we can always store normal information in the collection variables, and then we can store the sensitive information into the environment variables, and then we can store the more specific auth specific information. Okay, we don't have anything on the folder, sorry. So basically this is how you have environment, you can specify variables there. You have collections, you can specify variables there. You can use it in your Postman request to make it more cleaner and all those, that if you're presenting something to your client or to your colleagues, all your details, especially the sensitive details, are not visible. Okay, so there are so many things on Postman. I cannot actually cover everything, but I'll try to cover whatever is required for us as a Salesforce person to understand the Postman. So initially, this is what we have as part of Postman. Okay, so just set up it, like create a workspace, create the collections, whatever you want. We will definitely go with these APIs. So these three collections are um, useful. We're always going to use those. Create the environment, and how you are going to use that environment. That is, if you see here on the right, there it says as of now no environment selected. And if you click on the drop down, you will see your three environments of whatever you have created, and you can select any one. So once you have selected your environment, now your environment variable are accessible in across any of these collections. But depending on which API we are working on, we are going to use the environment for that API. Okay, so yep, your listing practice on the public network is missing. Which listing? Okay, it could be something else. So That is something that I wanted to cover as part of Postman collection. Anyone have any questions or anything as such?
Anything, sorry, anything you would like us to explore on this on our own apart from this?
So I would not say to explore, because the thing is that Postman is really a vast topic. Postman is not just a API testing tool actually, because that's what our we think that Postman is a API testing tool, but it's not actually. It's a API development tool as well. So you don't see here the things as of now, but if you click on this configure workspace, you will see some other options like APIs, mock servers, monitor histories, and all those, and you will see the options here. So if you click on this API, where is this? Yeah, if you click on this API, it gives you the option to develop a complete API, right? We can develop the complete API, but I have already developed 3 APIs as per part of my free plan. That's why I don't see an option to create an API. But that is you can. But as you asked, if you guys really wanted to go through, it's up to you. But yeah, if you guys really wanted to go through, please go through with the how you are going to access the variables in your request or in your body, how you are going to use the pre-request script, you're going to use the pre-request script, how the test works in Postman, because these are concepts we are going to look into. So if you guys have time, you want to explore what is pre-request script, the link is already shared in the chat. You want to see how the test work, how the benefit we are going to take it, the test is there. So basically we are going to work on the pre-request and test tab frequently, so you can always explore that what it is, but at times we will discuss on that part as well. Okay, I hope it's
Um,
clear.
one question from my side, Amit. So apart from this Postman, are there any other ways we can test our API?
Yes, there are different ways. So if we talk about, there is Postman, there is advanced REST client. If I have to go to and say advanced REST client, okay, this is another this is a Google Chrome extension, you could always use it. Advanced REST client, this is the one place where you can it's already added, I believe, for me. Okay, but you could always use this advanced REST clients for the testing purpose. But I I haven't used actually advanced REST client, so I will not be able to help more on this if there is anything related to collections, variables, all those kind of things. Because Postman is it's really we'll say good tool that we have, and that tool is really important for us. Okay, so yeah, I would recommend, like, my recommendation is to uh, go with the Postman, but if you want, you could always go with this advanced REST client. Okay, and one thing is that if you really are willing to use any other systems, which is if you go to Postman, not Postman, if you go to VS Code, which we are going to use, that is if you go to extension and search for Postman, so you will see the extension in the Postman as well, right? So this is the extension which Postman has actually launched itself. So you can install this extension into your VS Code. So if you don't want to go out of VS Code, this extension enables you to give an icon here on the left, and then you can just I think you have to sign in. I'm not going to showcase that part, but if you sign in, then you would be able to see the details.
Okay, okay, got
Yeah,
it.
so Postman is also one thing, and I think for Postman there is also one more uh, extension. I don't remember it, but that is definitely not useful for you, because you have to write everything to prepare the request and all. You have to write it everything. Okay, So this is Postman is very good, and that's what my recommended tool is. And I think if you go anywhere in the market, you will see that Postman is recommended tool for API testing. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
And for
great.
for SAP, we will have sorry, not SAP, for SOAP APIs. I'm trying to figure it out if I can find out any SOAP API for the demo purpose. But SOAP API, we have a tool called SOAP UI. So that's the tool that we have for SOAP API. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So going forward, um, what is an integration? If any one of you want to maybe pitch in and talk about what is an integration, or before what is an integration, why there is a need of having an integration? That's the first point that we have. Why there is a need of having an integration? Anyone have
Hi,
any idea about this?
Amit.
Yeah.
I have a rough idea. Like I have a
Yeah.
very basic idea. So integration is when you want to when you want to hook up Salesforce with some other software solution. So everything cannot be stored in Salesforce, and the enterprise do not do that. They just don't trust one solution. They keep their data in different places because every tool is specialized. So let's say they are keeping their orders in some other tool, and if you want to see them in Salesforce, that's the need for integration because they want to see something outside Salesforce in Salesforce.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good explanation. Because this is pretty easy. Like, what is the need of integration? So the need of integration is kind of yeah. I think someone was also saying something. Sagar, you, or I think Sasi, you were.
Yeah, I am Amit Singh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as my understanding, integration, like if you want to talk to with another system from Salesforce, then we'll use integration.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, yeah, I think we've got it quite right. So the integration is like, what is the need of integration? The answer lies in the definition of integration, because integration says that whenever we have two or more systems and we want to make them talk each other, that means we want them to share their data with each other, then it is basically integration is used, right? And that is actually the need of integration. Because what happens in the earlier like if I have to say, maybe when I was in my schooling days, somewhere around 2009 or 2008, then we don't had these ATMs or these UPIs, right? We had to go to bank, and then we had to fill the form, the withdraw form, and then stand in a queue, and then wait for your turn to get the money out of bank. So that was, I think, uh, that is the best thing that I can think of as an integration, where now you have the capability of ATM. You can use it anywhere. You just go to any part of the world, or any part of yes, any part of the world. If the ATM is there, you have your ATM, you can withdraw the money. So that's the best example of integration, where we have, like, earlier we don't had integration, so we had to visit the same branch to take out the money, or to deposit the money. But now we don't have to visit the branch. Even I don't remember when I have last time visited my bank. And that's how the integration works, and that's how the technology simplifies the things. So that's exactly the need of integration is. There would be two systems talking to each other, and those two system is, so one is going to be client and one is going to be server. So please bear with me, because that's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to write some sort of small things in the middle of the class in the notes as well. So client is going to be one person who is going to request the request, and server is going to be the one person who is going to uh, accept and process and then give back the response, right? That's what going to happen. And there is one person that is actually sitting in between the client and server, that is called as API. Okay, so anything that happens between two systems, that happens through API. So client is like it could be your web browser, it could be your mobile application, it could be your MuleSoft application, it could be any other device. API is basically an specification through which you are going to say that, okay, I'm going to make this endpoint. This API is going to identify which particular service, which particular API, which particular operation you wanted to perform. And then the server, not service, sorry, the server is going to accept that request. um, the server is going to perform few things like authentication if you are authentic person, then it is going to perform authorization if you are an authorized person, and then it is going to if you are authentic and authorized person, then it's going to return the response. The response could be success or error, but it is going to give you the response. As for sure response will be there back to the to the client. Okay, that's how the process works in terms of this. And let's quickly see an example, and then I'll tell one important thing which I used to say is, so this is a website for BBC News, right? So the reason I opened this website because I wanted to make a statement that the API is nothing, because people ask what is an API, right? What is the use of API? So we have already talked about that API is basically sitting in the middle, uh, where we are like that API is kind of acting as a middleware, not middleware. That API is acting kind of middle person which is responsible for accepting the request from the client and then giving response back from the server. So what is API? So if you talk about API in terms of Java, API is nothing. It's a kind of documents which tells you how you are going to communicate with the system, and that's what exactly an API is. It is a document specifications which tells you how you are going to connect with a specific system, and that API uses some sort of technology behind the scene to connect to the server system. Okay, that is the simple API that we have. And the next thing, the API is what. So if you are coding something, that is what the API is. Now how why I'm saying this, because let's say this is a website, right? This is a simple website, this is a URL. So we said, okay, I want the news from the BBC website, so I got this news. And if I search for something, and let's say we are searching for it, if we search something related to cricket, we see that these are all the news that comes up, right? So what has happened, some developer who has developed that developer has actually coded that whenever there is a URL going to be something like this, bbc.co.uk search query parameter as q, and whatever we are sending it is part of parameter, then that person is going to display the information that keyword based on some logic, right? Now what if I change this search, or I replace this search from find, you will not get anything. You will get 404 not found, because developer has never coded for this URL. They have always coded for search, and that is why we are able to see the information. Similarly, I'm not sure if I, instead of q, if I say search param and hit enter, we don't get anything, because again developer has not coded anything for search param, but they have coded for q, right? So this is what basically is, if you don't code for anything, your API is not going to give anything. That is means API is nothing. API is what you code as a developer. So if you consider yourself as a API developer, so whatever you are coding is going to be given back to the client whenever the client is requesting for a specific URL, right? So that's what the API is. Similarly, you can go and search for, if you say google.com and search for something. For example, if you search for Salesforce, if you see the URL is like something, again it says search and it says queue, and if you say find, it's not going to find anything because the Google developers has never coded for this URL. So that's exactly the API is, and that's why I have taken this example of website here so that we can understand more related to API. Okay. Now, this is, I think, very famous example that everyone takes when it comes to API, where we say that, okay, there is going to be a front end, API, and back end, because that's what we talked about, right? There would be three system: client, and then there is going to be API sitting in the middle, and then server. So that's what basically this is front end, where we all like whatever this is related to some function, people are going to come sit and have the water. These are water bottles, and then waiters are kind of acting as an API where they are going to kind of serve you. You will they will come to you, or you will ask them to come to you, and then you will place some order. So as soon as you are placing an order, that is basically placing a request, right? You are placing a request to the API. API will say, okay, that API will go to backend, that is server, and then the API will say, hey, this is the request which came from, and then these are the processes. These are the processors that they are going to cook the food, the requested food that you have done. Then they will again say, okay, hey API, this request is ready, the response is ready. Then API will come and then they will give you the response. So that is the example of how the API or client server architecture works. So that is, again, we have this is, I think, I would say this is more simplest way of restoring example that we have seen. So I would like to hear from you guys. Do you have a question, a doubt, anything related to API before we actually talk about client server flow? We have that as well.
Amit, Ravi here. I just have a very basic
Yeah, yeah.
question. Although it's I think it doesn't fit right now, but still in simple words, if you can explain, if I have created a mobile app and I
Mm-hmm.
want to integrate it with Swiggy or Menulog,
Okay.
then how will the API thing uh, allow the user of that mobile app to place an order, like on a high level terms? So what is API in this scenario, the one which I just told you? What API we are going to use? What would be the front end? What would be the back end? Thank you.
So in terms of if I talk about the example that you've taken is more like it's an order management kind of things. Okay. So we have a mobile. Basically, it's a mobile application, not mobile. Okay. We have a mobile application. Then we have say it's a Zomato or Swiggy, right? Forgive about my spelling mistakes. I do a lot. So Swiggy and Zomato, and then there are restaurants, right?
You don't eat from outside, looks like.
I don't eat from outside because I have actually started cooking myself, and my friend is here who knows what I cook daily basis. So here we're laughing. Okay, so that's fine. So yeah, what I was saying is we have mobile application, and then basically under these are the mobile applications, and then we have restaurants, and how the UI looks like, right? So these Zomato or Swiggy, whatever, they have UI, right? That is basically nothing. It's front end. So where you see all the menus, you see, okay, we have these foods available. We have vegetarians, non-vegetarians, or we have vegan foods. I don't think they sell vegans. They have Jain foods. So they have kind of got all the varieties there. Okay. And then that is basically UI is where that you see. But in the UI itself, the items that you see, right? The items like the restaurant list, basically. You see the restaurant list. You see the food options, right? Food options. You see the images. You see the offers. Every single thing comes from the API itself. Anything that you see in the UI relate to this Zomato or Swiggy applications, every single thing comes from the UI. Sorry, not UI. Every single thing comes from the API. So that is the one thing that they do. They get the information through an API, and then when you place the order, then again that information is being sent through API to the restaurants, to the registered restaurants which they have partnered with. So they will have their database, they will have their own exposure to all those, and they usually place the orders and then send it to restaurants. So that is also an API. So that's basically a high level, I would say, design or the high level explanation that you were looking for.
Okay, just to reconfirm that my mobile application, who is just using Zomato, Swiggy. So my mobile application is client.
Yeah.
Zomato and Swiggy are servers.
No, these are acting as a client basically. So your mobile application itself is a client. So if you are using Zomato, that is itself is a client. If you are using Swiggy, that itself is a client.
And who are their servers? Who are their backends?
Not exactly. I don't know like who are their backends, but they have some. Let's say, let me show you all. Like if I go to swiggy.com, right? It will ask for the location. Okay, good. It didn't ask. If we go to inspect element, right? If you go to inspect element and go to sources, and then not this one, sorry. To go to network, XHR request, okay, fetch XHR, and I would say prevent, and let me refresh. So, where is this restaurant list? I think this is the one. Yes. So if you see, right, let me, you guys all can see, right, this?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So if you see, they have their API, like Swiggy has their own API to swiggy.com. The API is, this is, if I have to take this, copy this URL and paste it here, you will see the list of all the restaurants here.
Okay, so this is what I was thinking, and now you have, once you have shown it, it becomes clear that URL, the URL, the API URL is actually the address of a JSON, which has all the restaurant and item and their prices with their
Yeah,
photos.
yep,
Okay.
yep. And based on the parameters, basically, you see here there is a latitude and longitude. Based on these parameters, it actually keeps changing the values. So if you see the same thing in your in Sydney, right, you will see a different thing
Okay,
because
much.
they display the information based on your location. Right?
Okay.
So that's what you see. So Swiggy has their own API, Zomato has their own APIs. You go and then you can get this. These are the cards. Under cards, we have, I think, card. Under card, header is there, layout is there. These are the images. Great. Okay, so we basically have so many things here. Under cards itself, there would be other things. So you're going to get all these details here. Like you see here, it says Noida. This is what is the user isn't. Order food online, ideas, best delivery was Swiggy and all those. So whatever you are seeing here, and these all are coming from the backend API. Yeah.
Oh. And
Okay.
no one can change it. Like if I want to play with it, and then nothing will happen.
No, you cannot change it. You cannot change it. You can always use this to maybe play for your purpose. You can use the JSON and then maybe work with it, but you cannot change anything here.
Okay.
Even if you go and do inspect element and say something, for example, sorry, I'm going somewhere else, but if you select something and go to console and say $0, you'll get this complete thing. And then if you want to hide it or play around with the CSS, that will reflect here, but not to the website, just to your browser only.
Sure. Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Okay, no worries. I think this would be clear to other people as well.
Yep. Yes, Amit.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So, moving again to the client server architecture. This is again, this is what we talked about, right? There would be an end user, it could be a browser, it could be a mobile application that we just talked about. Then there would be a request that is going to be placed through API. As we talked about, API is kind of a middle person. And then it is going to forward the request to the server. So we are going to have our server multiple processors there. They are going to find out your authenticity. They are going to figure it out your authorization, and if everything is well, they are going to send the response back. Even if nothing is well, they are going to send the response back. So the response could be either success or it could be either error response. So that is what a high level client server flow works. So this is the key thing that we see as a API is the key thing we see here, and would be seeing a lot. We'll be talking about, we'll be reading a lot of API documentations. We will be developing our own APIs as well in Salesforce. So we are kind of going to do almost everything that a API developer does, but with respect to Salesforce. So that's what the client server flow says. And before we go next topic, I will not so the next thing. A quick question to everyone: what is a difference between authorization and authentication?
Yeah. Hi, Amit. Chaitanya
Hey,
here.
hi Chaitanya.
Yeah. So, authorization and authentication. So, authentication just identify yourself. Is it a right person to give access? So, if you get authenticated, then it gives you the authorization. Like what leverage you will have. Like if you are a person that has access to the system, then which level of permissions you have, like which objects you can see, which means like which data he can access.
Okay, good. Yeah, anyone else wants to add anything?
Yeah, same thing, Amit. Yeah, let's say like we are having Outlook. Let's say if we are logging into Outlook, so it will check whether we are able to log into Outlook or not. Again, there will be some many files will be there shared. So let's say if we click on some file, sometimes we will get you are not authorized person to access this one. Some files will get we can access that file. So that is nothing but the authorization.
Yeah, good. Seems like you guys have read my definition. Okay. Uh, yeah. So basically, yes. Authorization is nothing. It says, authentication is nothing. It says who you are, and then authorization is says that okay, are you a person who has the permission to perform certain task? Authorization always comes after authentication. Like it will never come before authentication, right? So, for example, if we talk about simple terms, we all have been in college, right? So our authenticity was the card that we have found. The college has given us the card, right? So the college has given the card. So if you go to gate, and then there is a guard sitting in the gate, and they will not let us enter into the college until unless that we don't show them our card. Right? That is our authenticity. But after we have after we are in the campus now, uh, we cannot go to certain areas like server rooms. There are server rooms in the labs that you have. You cannot go to the restricted area. You cannot even go to the director's office like without taking the permissions. And in terms of attendance, let's say that you are a teacher, and you can only take the attendance for your subject that which you are teaching to the students. But as an head of department, a teacher who is HOD can take the attendance, can make the changes into the attendance, can debar the student, or can give the exceptional permission to be sitting in the exam. That kind of authorization is only with the head of department, or the VP of college, or the director of college. These are kind of authorization. So it's in simple terms, after your after your authentication, or maybe after your identity has been proved, then only you are going to perform certain task. And if you are performing some certain task, the system will see if you are an authorized person, then only you will be able to perform that task. So that is what we have, very simple images over here. So if you see, authentication says who are you. So for example, we are trying to log in into Salesforce org, and we just say username and password with a captcha. I just added it because there is no captcha in Salesforce official login page, but let's say there is a captcha, and it says, okay, this is going to validate the credentials. If credentials are valid, you are going to get login into Salesforce org. And let's say that you have only access to these three tabs: account, leads, and contact. And if the credentials are not valid, you are still be on the same page of the login, whatever the login page that we have. So that is the authentication that we have. And then if we talk about authorization, it says what permissions do you have. For example, you're trying to access an opportunity record page, or an opportunity record itself. If you're trying to access, it says, do you have access? Like behind the scenes, Salesforce is going to check the access. If you have the access, then only you will be uh, like presented with the screen where you can access the record. Otherwise, you will be presented in a screen where there would be an error like insufficient privilege or something kind of that. So that is what the authorization means. So that's exactly, I think, we have discussed. Now let's talk about the different types of authentications that are available, and what are all the authentications that we are going to look into throughout the course. So there are multiple authentications, if you talk about, available in the system. And the very first thing is no authentication. That's not related to Salesforce as of now. But no authentication means that it is available publicly. You don't require any authentication to access that information, right? For example, if I talk about this BBC News itself, right? If we talk about bbcnews.com, so this is specific information is accessible without us being logged in or something, right? You can access the information without logging into the system. But if you talk about LinkedIn like system, there is a proper authentication mechanism, and if you don't pass that authentication mechanism, we cannot log in into the system. So no authentication is pretty simple, as its name itself indicates, no authentication. You don't need an authentication to access certain information. And out of those informations, we have like, in terms of no authentication, we have some examples as well. We will also see those. Then we have got basic authentication. Basic authentication is the authentication where we provide our username and password to authenticate to a system. And for this, we have LinkedIn itself. When we go to linkedin.com, we try to log in, it asks us to provide our authenticity. Either we can log in using the social media profiles like Google, or Google or other profiles, and or we can provide username and password to log in. So that is a simple basic authentication. In case of Salesforce integration terms we will talk about, then we have the system like Freshdesk. This system actually is using basic authentication for integration purpose. What is basic authentication, how we apply, and all, we are going to see all that thing. Then basic authentication, there is something called API key based authentication. API key based authentication, its name itself indicates this is going to require an API key to authenticate, and that API key can be passed in the URL itself, or that API key can be passed in the header of the request. So we will see there would be some systems which will be passing the API in the URL. I think for this we have a system called OpenCage geocoder. So this is the system which we are going to leverage for API key authentication. Then we also have something called exchange rate, and these are the two systems that we have for API key authentication that we can use. Okay. Then we say Auth 1.0. It's kind of deprecated in the market, so we are not going to work on this Auth 1.0. This is also known as three-legged integration. Okay, three-legged authentication. This is what the Auth 1.0 is. We are not going to look into it, but if you really want to understand which system uses this three-legged integration, that is Twitter. And this is the, I would say, the complex integration which is there available, right? So now even Twitter has also started using Auth 2.0. So you will find very less. Earlier, I think when I was in my very first company, there is a platform called QuickBooks. It was also using three-legged, but now using Auth 2.0. Earlier, it was also using Auth 1.0, but now it's using Auth 2.0. Okay, so these are like this platforms. These two platforms are using kind of not both, and at least this Twitter itself still is using three-legged, but now has started using Auth 2.0 as well. So now people are using Auth 2.0 to integrate with Twitter. So if you want to integrate with Twitter, you can use Auth 2.0. Then there comes Auth 2.0. It's kind of industry-wide. This is the industry-wide used authentication. Everyone is using Auth 2.0 for authentication purpose, and that is why we have got so many examples here. Like we are going to talk about web server flow, we are going to talk about user agent flow, username and password, a refresh token, JWT error flow for server to server integration, client credentials flow for server to server integrations, device flow for IoT integrations, SAML bearer assertion flow for previously authorized apps, PKCE, and I think there was this one, username and password flow, which is now deprecated. Salesforce is not promoting this, so deprecated for Salesforce, username and password flow. Instead, they are promoting to use this client credentials flow for server to server integration. So these are all the, we would say, authentications, except this and this, because these are now not being used in the industry. So we are going to skip those. Sorry, this one is being used, but for this we need a lot of setup, a lot of systems. We don't want to get into that. So we are going to exclude these two. Else, we are going to see every single concept of Auth 2.0 authentication, and this is where we are going to spend a lot of time to understand each concept, so that when it comes to the different systems like LinkedIn, Google, QuickBooks, um, I think these are the main systems which I remember as of now. But when we talk about these systems, we don't spend much time in authentication or authorization part. We will be on a fast pace, but to make sure that we understand the things, we will spend more and more time here on the on understanding the flows. Every single flow we will understand with the proper example, with the proper diagram, and all those kind of things. So that's what we are going to see. And there is one more thing that is I don't know how many people knows. But there is a new authentication which is about to come in the market, that is Auth 2.1, and this is going to be the future. This is going to be the future. If you talk about or if you Google it, Auth 2.1, you'll find out Auth 2.1 under auth.net. Auth.net is the official website for Auth. So if you want to learn more about what is Auth 2.1 as a authentication, you can always visit this website. This is really this is going to be kind of feature for authentications. It's not implemented yet in the market, but it will be coming soon, because Auth 2.0 has kind of taken the huge part of market, his percentage of market. Now to move to Auth 2.1 would be a significant change. That's why it's kind of not coming the market, but it is a new authentication which is coming. So yeah, I think someone has about to say something. Chaitanya, you?
Yeah, I have only one question. Like in the basic authentication, the API key based authentication is there. So the only question is, this API key remains always same. Like suppose if I get a API key once, if I store it in the custom label, so should it be always same, or it
You know,
changes at every time?
I think you mixed the two questions. You're
Okay.
talking about username and password, and sorry, basic authentication, and you said API key. So where is the question? Basic authentication or API key?
So in the, sorry, just a second. I just made a mistake. API key based authentication.
Okay, API key based authentication, right?
Yeah.
So this is going to remain same, but
Okay.
depends on your system. Depends on your system. Let's say there is a system which is having three different environments, like dev, UAT, and production, right?
Yeah.
So if you're talking about dev, UAT, and production, so every environment will have their own keys, right? That
Yes.
is the only difference that you will see. Apart from this, everything will be same. If you have got one key you have stored in label or metadata, or inside a file, it's your choice, but the key is going to remain same.
Yeah. Okay. That was the only my doubt. Thanks.
Yeah, no
Um,
worries.
I mean, I have one question.
Hey, yeah, go ahead.
Uh, I mean, overall, if I see this as an umbrella of authentication, so if
Mm-hmm.
I want to differentiate all these types of authentication in a single word, how we can explain? And the second question is like, since now we are, I mean, as 2.1 is yet to come, so how we can ensure that this is been supported in with Salesforce? Is it any changes we have to do, or any framework that will be done from the Salesforce framework developers, or how we think that this is going to suit to us?
Okay. Anything else?
Nothing. That's it.
Okay, okay. I think first question was about how we are going to differentiate about these, right? So I think I would say please hold on for those for this first question, because once you understand these concepts, you will see the clear differentiation in your mind itself. So
Sure.
that I'm sure. So please wait for that. And even under this web OAuth 2.0, there are so many authentication. There is a table which I have prepared, and it's not actually a table, it's a series of questions that you need to ask yourself. And as soon as you ask those questions to yourself, your answer is quite clear when you are going to use which authentication. I believe that's what your question was exactly, right? That
Correct.
when we are going to use which one. So wait for that, and you will get your answer. Okay. So
Uh,
maybe today, or maybe to next class when we will be having, you will have your answer.
Amit, I have a question. Ravi here. So basically,
Yes,
can you
yes.
hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So my understanding is that these authentication types are like generic concepts related to client and server connectivity, which is like applicable to any software. It is not specific to Salesforce. So these are like open concepts which we have to be comfortable with. Is that right?
Yes, this is an open concept, and this
So
is going to
it is like protocols, like in college days when we learned HTTP or HTTPS, those kind of things. But day in day out we use them whenever. It depends on different softwares how they're communicating. So I think we have to start with the simplest ones, because all these things I'm hearing for the first time. Uh,
we will start. Don't worry, we will start from the API key authentication. We will start basic authentication, and then we will move forward. So don't worry. That is my problem, how I'm going to make you all understand. Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, don't worry about that. I think Chaitanya has one more question, which was related to Auth 2.1. So
Manjunath.
what I have learned so far is there is not much change which is going to come in Auth 2.1, because 2.0 and 2.1, basically 2.1 is an upgrade of this 2.0. So there are few minor changes which are going to come, which will not going to impact the existing implementation. So don't worry much about that. Okay.
Amit,
Yes,
just one question on authentication. So nowadays, like we'll be seeing with mobile number, we will be logging with OTP, right? So that will fall under which authentication, Amit? Any idea?
that is 2FA. That's not an authentication actually.
Okay,
That is multi-factor authentication.
okay, okay.
Yeah. So because you log in with OTP even after giving something, right? Either you give username and password, or you do something and then you get OTP, right?
Yes, yes. But some apps like media apps, like let's say Prime or some media apps we have in local language also. So they just will give mobile number, and then with OTP we can log in either with password or OTP. So if you select OTP, no need to enter password. So just with OTP only we will be able to log in. Yeah.
That is actually known as password-less login,
Okay.
but we don't have any as such authentication mechanism here for password-less login. The reason we don't have that, because that requires a user intervention. In most of the cases, you will see that because we have a client and we have a server, and most of the cases we will not interact, like user will not interact directly with the server. Like in the case that you have explained is more like you are trying to log in into a system where they are giving you the OTP, and that actually comes under a password-less login concept. I think now Google is also coming up with this password-less login concept. I'm not sure when they will be implementing it, but they have said that they are coming up with this concept, passwordless login. So
Okay.
that comes under passwordless login, but we don't have as such any mechanism for that in the market.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Yep. Okay. So I think no more questions that we do have. So let's start with very basic, that says no authentication. Let's keep aside this. Let's talk about API key authentication. Okay. And before that, even as we have the example of no authentication, we are also going to take this. So no authentication is like, it's kind of a public thing. Consider this as a public park where you can go and you can always roam around the park without any restrictions. That is a no authentication thing. There are many systems which are available. For example, IP5. That's the first link that you see here, ip5.org. Let me share these examples in the chat as well. So this ip5.org is the system which actually gives the current IP address of yourself. So let's maybe take a look here. So ip5.org, if you go here, you see that, okay, a simple public API, a public IP address API, what it does is it gives you the IP address of your internet which you are connecting it, and it gives you the version 4 and version 6 both. So if you see here, yeah, so before actually I start this, whenever we need to integrate with any system, it could be any random system. Whenever we wanted to integrate with the system, we will always look, the first thing that we will look for is the API document. It could be any random system. You take it, if you have to integrate, first thing that you have to look for is an API document. If you don't have an API document, in 99% of the case, you will not be able to integrate it. Okay, and there would be some cases where you actually don't have that API available publicly. In that case, only the certain vendors can get that API. I think um, there are some Oracle products which only the people or only the companies who has taken the Oracle products, they will only be able to access that API. They will share the document with them. There are many products as such. So that is what we are trying to do here is, as we said, okay, we wanted to integrate with ip5.org. This is our, sorry, this is our system which we wanted to integrate with. So we'll say, okay, the first step is API document for any API as we talked about. So we are going to say, okay, give me the API document. And then we know that ip5.org is a public API. So we went to this, their official site. Okay. And then what we need to do is we need to read the document. If you see, there are so many examples. So it says about, and then it says, oh, this is what public IP address API is. We have got some examples. These are the curl URL examples. Okay. And let's say, because we know that this is a public API, we will come to the authentication later on. As this is a public API, if I copy this URL and paste it here and hit enter, I will see that, okay, it says IP and this is my IP. Okay. This is my IP, and if I refresh this again, it should remain same. Yes. Okay. That's what the IP is. But if you see, right, I'm seeing that this is a very beautiful URL. Can anyone do me a favor? Hit this URL from your browser and tell me, how do you see this in the UI? Is it the same way, or do you see a clumsy JSON, or what do you see there?
I can see everything in single line on it.
Okay. That's the reason I actually asked. So there is a Google Chrome extension, and please go ahead and install it. And that Google Chrome extension is a JSON formatter. Okay. So just go to this Google Chrome extension, JSON formatter, install it. It's not actually, this is a code, sorry. JSON formatter, view web extension. Yes. What is this? Remove manage extensions. Okay. How can I get, yeah. So this is the link which I'm sharing in the chat. So this is really a cool extension that helps us to format the JSON. You might be seeing the JSON something like this, right? Like this. So
Yes.
this is not a human readable format, because we will talk about in a bit. We'll talk about some other system. There you will find that these are not human readable. So if you click on this past, you will see that, okay, we've got a beautiful JSON which we can read it. So that's why this extension is useful. So just go ahead and install it. It's going to save our life a lot. Okay. So that's just a simple example for getting an IP. And if you talk about exchange rate API, so this is the exchange rate API, right? If I open this, you can see here, I said that I want to get the exchange rate where my currency, like my base currency is USD. So for 1 USD, give me all the exchange rate. So it is giving me, says, for 1 USD, I really don't know all the currencies. So I'll find INR. So for INR, it says 1 USD is $82. And if we go to GBP, which is pound, it says 0.78 GBP, and then if we go to euros, it says 0.92 euros, and if you say AED, I think AED is the Australian dollars, right? Or it's AUD?
Yeah, AED.
AUD.
No, AUD, sorry.
Yeah, so it's Australian
AED
dollar.
is Dubai. Yeah, Dubai's, yeah.
So basically, you see here, right? We're getting, and I also see that there are some currencies like BMD, which is equal to $1. Not sure for which country this currency is. So okay, good. And yeah, so I think this is just a public, right? You could always get the exchange rate, and I think this becomes useful whenever you are working for a client which is having multiple offices at multiple countries, and they are working on the multi-currency environment. Then these kind of APIs are very helpful for us to get the exchange rates and then update our currency conversion rates or dated exchange rate in our system. And this doesn't require any sort of money or something, but they will definitely require some sort of rate limiting, like you can only make the 100 callouts in an hour or something. That kind of limiting would be there, and I believe there would be some sort of discrepancies on the exchange rates as well. It might not give you the accurate rate that you are looking for, but for our example, it is a perfect fit for uh, we would say exchange rate public API, where we don't have to give any authentication. And similarly, like we have got random jokes API, which gives you the jokes, dogs API, which gives you the information about a dog. Then you have got CoinDesk. I don't know what it is. Okay, this gives you something. Okay, it gives you something, but I don't know, to be honest. This is again a public API. And then we have this link, right? I have given you, this is API feni.io free API. If you go there, you will find so many free APIs. Free API means free API. It's not requiring any authentication. If you see, you'll find so many things like public APIs. What is this? It gives you something related to see. You might have seen, right, for a fraction of second, how that this is how the JSON looks like. Now, if you want to read, what you will get, right? So that's why this extension I have asked you. So I think it actually gives you the list of all the public APIs. Yes, sorry. You can get all the list of public APIs from here. Whatever the APIs that are public, and I think there are so many APIs, right? You get every single thing. You can play around with it. That's what we have as a public API. We have got CoinDesk. I think some of them I've gotten from here itself. Data USA, don't it's going to give you the population of USA and all those. IP5 we have talked about. Jokes, random user. I think this is also a good API to get the information about a random user, right? Because sometimes we need to create some random users, some random contacts, and we, because of the limited capacity of our mind, we don't usually get the information about user. We can use these APIs to get the users. Okay. um I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, so yeah, that's what we were saying. Like we have got so many APIs which you can always use without any authentication, right? Now actually comes the main part. Let's try to
Amit,
implement this.
sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
So why only JSON format, Amit, for this APIs? Uh,
Mm, okay. So it depends on the developer who actually is developing the API. Okay. Um, for example, you are a developer, right? It depends on you what is the response that you want to give back to the person who is consuming your API. But there is a reason of keeping JSON as a format. So, like, there are two types of APIs that I think we haven't talked about. One is REST API and one is SOAP API, right? I will not go deep here on the difference, but I would just give you the that much difference which you can actually explain to anyone. So REST API, it's kind of API which is a modern API, you can say. And if you talk about the full form, it is representational state transfer. Okay, the full form of this is representational state transfer. And the SOAP is basically, it's a protocol. That's why it says simple object access protocol. That's what the SOAP says. The full form of SOAP is simple object access protocol. The full form of REST is, it says representational state transfer. It's more like a state kind of thing, and it's more like a protocol. Okay, REST kind of accepts all those. First of all, REST is being used by most of the systems nowadays. It's a lightweight, and SOAP is a heavyweight API, right? And REST kind of accepts JSON, XML, text, or raw, or etc. as a response input body, or as a request input body, or as a response input body. In case of SOAP, it's only and only XML. So if you want to know the difference between an API, if the API is REST or SOAP, just go and take a look into the response of that API. What is the response of your API? Does it give you the JSON, or does it give you the XML? Or if it is giving you the XML only as a response and it is taking XML only as a request, that means it's a SOAP API. You have to understand, you need to have the good understanding of XML to work with SOAP API, right? There are so many other aspects, like you have to prepare headers, you have to prepare envelopes, you have to prepare body, and then you are going to preparing the request, and then once you get the response, you have to parse every single thing to get the actual response. So that's why we said SOP is kind of more heavyweight API, where more people don't want to get that. It's an old API. It's the old days APIs. That's why it is still in the picture, and mainly used for server to server integration. Server to server integration. Server to server means, like, you have Salesforce. You wanted to kind of integrate Salesforce with a different system in terms of metadata manipulation, then you will use SOAP API. That's what we have. Nowadays, very less system are using SOAP APIs. Even Salesforce itself not using SOAP API to integrate. They are using REST API only. So that's why we are seeing this JSON as a response for most of the APIs. We will see, we'll try to find out some APIs which are actually SOAP APIs in terms of so that we can see how the SOAP API works. If not, we will develop our own SOAP API, and we'll show you how the SOAP API works, what is the WSDL, how the stubs, those skeleton and all those are getting generated, how you utilize those. We're going to show all those things. But to answer your question, this is a REST API, that's why it's returning JSON as a response. And REST API is a modern REST is a modern approach to develop the API. So nowadays, any API which is being developed is actually developed using the REST protocol. Sorry, uh, whatever the, or we can say, REST technology or something. And there is something called GraphQL which is coming. I think Salesforce has also started adopting it. GraphQL is also a different way of making the API calls or something, which is also accepting JSON only. It doesn't accept XML and all. So that's what we have. So I have taken some time to explain. The reason I wanted to make sure that you guys understand, and that's why I have taken this difference part as well for REST and SOAP. So if someone says that the API that you have worked with, it was a REST or SOAP, so you have the answer. Okay, we went to document, we found that it accepting the JSON, that means it is a REST, right? So that's what we have. So I hope that answers the question, right?
Yes, yes, Amit. Yeah.
Okay.
One more thing also, Amit. In one of my assignment, okay, I saw like, see, they haven't developed any REST class or any nothing, okay. But for data conversion, like currency conversion, so we like they can gave constructed on URL and they gave to SAP. So SAP they are filling back like the currency rate back to the Salesforce like currency table. So that is what kind of API call, Amit?
That is a call in. That's not a call out. That is a call
Mm.
in which SOAP is doing to Salesforce. That is a REST API.
Okay.
Yeah. So Salesforce usually work with the REST APIs only. There are few cases only where they will be working with the SOAP. For example, if a Java application is consuming Salesforce API, then it will be done through SOAP. Otherwise, it is going to be done via REST API. That's what I have seen so far.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amit.
No worries. So yeah, and before we go to the next topic, which is API based authentication, let's talk about few things. Few things is like okay, just a question. You want guys me to showcase the implementation using Apex class, or uh, do you want me to go ahead and talk about the API key authentication?
Uh, Show with the Apex class only, Amit.
Apex, please. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So don't worry that I'm not going to showcase, okay? If you guys are thinking that I'll talk about theory part only, so don't worry on that part. So, but yeah. So okay, let's go ahead. I think if you guys have two systems, please go and not developer console. Sorry, I'm not going to follow developer console. Okay, so I'm going to use my VS Code itself. I'm going to use VS Code. So I'm going to create a project, create project with manifest, standard, Salesforce integration. Okay, so for a minute, maybe I'll just pause my screens here. Don't worry, I'm just pausing it because I wanted to authenticate it. There would be some information that I want to hide. Okay, in the meantime, everyone knows, right, how to set up the VS Code?
Yeah.
Yes, Amit.
Yes.
Okay, and I hope you guys have set up the VS Code. So please go ahead and maybe create a project, set up it with your new org that you guys have created. Okay, so that would be helpful because we are going to kind of play around with the VS Code only. The reason is pretty simple. We wanted to make sure that we have everything at one place, and then when we just get it and give it to you. That's the reason we have. Okay, so once you will be login for the first time to your VS Code, because you already know that how to set up all those, so I'm just going to skip it. So click on allow and we will see that okay, our authentication is successfully happened, and we are going to see the demo now. So that authorization has successfully happened, and I know that I need to, okay, let's wait for this to come up, and that's what we have. Okay, now what we need to talk about is before we actually implement, there are few classes that we would like to talk about is, and that class is standard Salesforce classes. Okay, so there is a class called HTTP request, and there is a called HTTP response, and then there is a call called HTTP. These are the three classes that you will be using in any integration. So anytime you need to integrate with any system and you are writing an Apex class, you need to use these three classes. Okay. Now, what is the usage of this HTTP request? The usage of this HTTP request is to prepare the request, okay, with all the information that is needed. Like it could be endpoint, it could be headers, it could be API keys, it could be authentication mechanism, any single thing that needs to go under this HTTP request. And then HTTP response is basically holds the response that is being sent by the server. So if you have a, like, you prepared a request and then I would put HTTP here in the between, because HTTP has a send method, which takes the instance of HTTP request, and sends the request to server, and whatever the response that comes, and the return type of this method is basically HTTP response. Let me show you. That way it would be very clear. Let me show you HTTP class plus Salesforce, because we all are good at development, so we will understand it very easy. So this is our HTTP class. You see here, okay, HTTP request, HTTP response is also there. Okay, where is the method? It doesn't say the method. The send method, it's not saying, it's not having here. Okay, let me see. HTTP, yes, it has. So this is the class. Again, I'm giving in the URL, you could always have it. So HTTP is the class. You see here, it has a method called send, and if you see, this is the signature of this method. It says public. The response, the return type of that method is HTTP response. The name of method is send, and it accepts the instance of HTTP request object. So if we have to define, this is how we will define our method, right? And that's what Salesforce has done. And then if you see here, it says request parameter is HTTP request. And if we see here under HTTP request, we should see the methods. If we come down here, you will see that there are so many methods of HTTP request object itself, like get body as blob, um, get body document, right? These are all, but mostly that we will be working is with the set method. These are all the set methods which we will be working with. So that's what we have. That set method is something that we will be working with. Okay. Now, if you see here, we will talk about that as well. But if you see, the set timeout method is really important for us, which is 120 milliseconds. What is that set timeout, when we use, and all those we will discuss later on. Then there is a class called HTTP response, and if you go to that class, you will see that there would be mostly the get methods which we are kind of going to work with. Set method we are not going to work with as of now, but maybe later we look into those. So these are the three main classes that we are going to work with any integration. As I said, as soon as you need to make a call out, you have to work with those three classes. Okay. So our org is set up. Yeah, Ravi, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying, just to repeat, first one is HTTP class, second is HTTP request, and HTTP response.
HTTP request, HTTP response, and HTTP, yes.
Okay, got it.
So, yep. So I think you all know how to create a class. So to create a class, you need to go to the settings or use Control Shift P or Command Shift P, and then select SFDX create Apex class. Give it a name. So we are kind of going to utilize this currency API. So we will say currency API service. and I'm going to put the namespace, which is PS. Okay, PS underscore currency API service, and hit enter. That's just my namespace. If you want, you could put it anything. If you don't, you could maybe skip it. Okay, and I've also given the zoom so that everyone can access and read the letters carefully, right? Like you all can see it clearly.
Yes, Amit.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, let's remove this constructor. We are going to create a public static method. So we'll say public static void, and let's say get exchange rate, get exchange rates, and this is our method. So the very first step is step 1 is to prepare the request. Step 1 is to prepare the request. How we are going to prepare the request? That is with the help of HTTP request class. So I'm going to use HTTP request, and then let's say HTTP request equal to new HTTP request. Okay, this is the first step, like create the instance of your class HTTP request, and this is for callouts only. Okay, this is not for call-ins. This is for callouts only. Let me explain, make it clear. This is for callouts only. Step 1 is to prepare the request. Okay, and then here we've got um, sorry, we are just creating the instance of your object. Now if you are making a call out to any external system, you will have a URL, a specific URL. For example, if you want to create the invoice, you will have a URL to create the invoice. If you want to maybe get the IP file, you will have a URL to get the IP, right? So what I have to do is to set the URL. There is a method inside this HTTP request that is set endpoint. Set endpoint. This is a method which accepts a URL in the form of a string. So let's set the endpoint. Okay. So what is the endpoint of our API? That is, I think, let's see. This is exchange rate. This one. Let's take this. Let's take this URL and put it here. Okay. So we have got this. This is our endpoint. Now there are two things that we do is what is the content type? Content type means what is the response that the third party system going to give us. So that is basically these are kind of, I would say, step 1.2, that is set the headers which are required basically, and this could be step 1.1, that is set the endpoint. To set the headers, we have like method called set headers. Set header is the method, not headers. It takes key value pair. It takes key value pair, and your API will tell you what are all the headers you need to put. So don't worry about it. In our case, the header is like you're getting the information in the form of JSON. So the content type is JSON. This is kind of a header which you will find in most of the API. That is content hyphen type, and that should be application by JSON. What are all the headers that can be done here, can be added here? It will be provided in your API itself. And if you go to your Postman, go to headers, and then search for value here, right? So let's say if you search for a or something, put it here, you will find all the headers here. Every single headers you'll find it here, and these are the only valid values apart from what your API has explicitly added. There would be some API which will be asking you to provide some adding some sort of headers here which are only specific to that API. And here in the, if you type something like A or something, you will see these are all the keys of your headers, and these are all the values of your headers. Okay, depending on the APIs, and gradually we'll keep talking about the different types of headers, how, what values we will be putting there, and all those things we will be talking about there. So this is the one header. And the second is, whenever your API is returning JSON as a response, let's put accept parameter and say we wanted to accept JSON. Or let's say that your API actually returns JSON or XML or text or HTML. So your API is kind of returning multiple responses, and you want to specify what JSON you want from your API. So you need to add an accept header. You will say accept application by JSON. So what does it mean is that you are saying that no matter what are the different formats that you have available, I am only going to accept JSON. So give me the JSON response only. So this is what our accept says. Important thing is that we always keep it in terms of all the REST APIs to get the JSON as a response. That is the, I think, step 1.2. This is a very small API, so we don't need to have other steps. Then we are going to have step 2. This is going to be send the request. Send the request. Okay. And how we are going to send the request is, let's create the HTTP object. Say HTTP, new HTTP, and then using the method send, and passing this HTTP request as a parameter, we are going to send the response. Now we talked about the output of this method is going to be HTTP request, HTTP response. So let's store there HTTP response. HTTP response, HTTP res equal to this, right? And let's go ahead and put some debug log here. Put some debug log. We'll say system.debug. Okay, a question. Is this going to work? Anyone who knows this line going to work or not?
No.
Okay, who said this? Manju? Not you. Manju, not you?
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else?
It won't work.
Okay, the response from.
Can we say the reason also?
I'm going to make you learn something new today then.
Okay.
The response from currency API is, I think Rishabh knows it, but he don't want to speak. Okay. So whenever we kind of send a response, okay, we send a response, we kind of store it in the HTTP response class, and there are multiple methods of HTTP response. So let's say we send the request. Now let's say step 3 is print the information. Okay, print the information. This request is not going to work, not because of the system.system.debug, but because of some other issue which I'm going to explain, and I'm doing it purposefully. So there is a method. I would talk about multiple methods. Okay, one is get status, then one is get status code, one is get body as document. Okay, body as document, get body as blob. There are so many methods. That's why I have talked about the classes. You can go ahead and learn about those methods. But these are the 3 methods mostly we are going to talk about when we are working with REST APIs. This is the method which is mainly useful when we are working with the SOAP API, because SOAP gives us XML, and this is where it comes into the picture. I think there is also, let's actually open the class. There are many methods. that are available in this class. So if you go here, you see get body is blob, get body document, get headers, get status code. This is for SOAP, sorry, because that's why I said let's take a look. This is for SOAP, not the other one, okay? Because SOAP gives you the XML. So there are so many, but get body actually gives you the string format of your response. For example, we got this JSON. Where is that? It could be anything. Let's say like this. We got this JSON. Okay, we are going to get that JSON file in the form of a string. Okay, that will look like JSON, but it will be actually an string. Okay, it would be actually an string. So if you want, you can create a variable. Let's say response body. The variable will be type of a string, and we will say http response dot get body. Then let's create a variable called integer status code. So this method http response dot get status code actually returns an integer, and it returns the status code of your API. And then there is something called integer, not integer, a string status. So the get status method actually returns the string. It gives either the status is success or whatever it is. Okay, so let's print it. I'm going to say status here. Okay, and let's add a space. Any doubts so far except this one? No, right?
Amit, this is Sagar. I'm just trying to correlate with whatever the picture you represented before, like server call restaurant, right? So it's kind of in a menu card where we are looking into what has been exposed by some APIs, and we are trying to request like an not spicy, very mild, or all the things like, and we are trying to request that sort of an request, so that way we are receiving the same, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Yep. So let's deploy this class. I hope I have not made any typo mistakes, which I usually do a lot. So I said right. It is what says HTTP request a variable does not exist. HTTP request. HTTP QUEST. Okay, this should be HTTP request, HTTP response. Yeah. Let's say, don't laugh at me, right? Because I make a lot of typo mistakes. Yes. Now we are done. Let's get it. Let's copy it and go to the developer console. Like we are going to write the code in VS Code. We are going to execute in the developer console. Okay. And we'll keep doing the same process again and again. So I'm going to do a couple of things, like I'm going to go to help, reference. I'm going to change the font size to somewhere around 24. I'm going to change the theme to something like this theme. Okay, save it. So let's open our class, which is file, open the source, and the class name which we have copied. This is my class. We don't need to worry about whatever it is here. We just need to say, okay, a class name dot method name, which is currency exchange rate. I could have used VS Code itself to showcase how to execute it, but that's fine. This is our class, and I'm sure everyone knows what is this doing. This line number one statement is doing. So we're going to execute it, and it says method cannot be null. Okay, which method is null? Line number 14. Okay, let's see what this line number 14 has. HTTP dot send. Okay, let's say STT. It could be because of the same name which we have actually. So
How come it is working for us then?
how come it is working for us? Okay, you have written the same code.
Yeah.
Good, very good. Okay, that's the spirit. But method cannot. What the hell? Method cannot be null. Let me see what it says. Okay, it says we have this endpoint which says, oh, okay, I think, sorry, a mistake which I made. One important thing, step 1 point set headers. Step 2, we forgot to do one thing, which is
Setting body.
step 1.3, that is set the method. Body is not required because it's just a normal get call, right? So whenever you could access anything from the browser, that means it's a get call.
Okay.
Okay, so we have to basically set a method, and there is a method called set method itself, and it is going to accept the methods, which accepted values are get, post, put, patch, and delete. Because we can access this URL from the browser without any authentication or something required, that means it is a get method. So we will say get, and that is what says method cannot be null. Okay, and we thought that it's because of the variable. So, but how come it worked for you? I think it was
I
software
set
or
get. I already did a get. I
okay,
set the
okay,
method.
okay. Good. So now if we execute this, we should see some sort of errors, I guess. So I will check this checkbox, open logs, and execute it. And yes, we got this error. See, it says unauthorized endpoint. Please check setup security remote site setting endpoint this. Okay. So what does this mean is, and I actually did it purposefully, as I said. What this mean is that you, whenever you are making a call out to any external system, okay, and you have not added that endpoint into the base URL, not base URL, um, into the remote site settings, Salesforce will never know that this is an authorized person. Like Salesforce also needs to know that, okay, this is an authorized and it is a secure endpoint, it is an authorized endpoint. You can never make a call out until unless you add the specific URL into the remote site setting. Okay, so you have to find out the URL, not the exactly whatever it is. Let's first copy this. Let's copy this and go to setup. Go to setup, and from the setup, so I think Manjunath, you also got the same error, right? Or you already added the
Yeah,
remote site settings?
I got error. I added it.
Yep. So you just need to go to remote site settings from the setup, and then you need to click on new remote sites, and then here you just give the name. So let's say we are saying currency API, and it is not going to accept any special characters, any spaces or anything. So you need to make sure you don't provide anything. But yes, it will accept underscore if you want to separate the words. Put the URL whatever you have found it and click on save. What it will do is it will remove everything and it will keep the base URL only. That's why if you see, it has taken only https openerAPI.com. But we have actually given this URL, the whole URL, right? But it actually takes only the base URL. So you don't need to worry about anything. Uh, just add the base URL or add any URL, it is going to take the base URL. Now if we get back here and then again execute this code, this time we will see that our API call got success happened. If you see here, we got success as a status as well in the logs. And if we go to debug only, we will see it says the status says okay, status code is 200, and this is what the result we have got. And in the developer console, it actually trims the result, so you cannot see the whole result, but you are getting the result, right? So that is what. And now, as we know that when we executed, we got that error. So how to get rid of that error is something that you need to, what we need to do is, every time we are making a call out, we always need to put that call out within catch, try and catch. Always put that within try and catch. Okay, make every single thing, make the call out, because this is a risky code. Risky code in the sense it can fail at any time. So we want to make sure that we are putting the risky code inside try, and we are catching the exception. Okay, we are catching the exception. So we have to do this. Okay, this is what we have. Yep. Now I have added two catch. The reason I have added two catch, because there are so many exception families that can occur. So, and for callout, there is an exception called system dot callout exception, and we can say callout exception. And then there is a parent class, which is the parent class of all the exceptions, that is system dot exception exception. Okay, and that's what you have. So if there is any error because of the callout, this block will get executed. If there is any error because of the uh, other, like system failures or something, that will come under this catch. Now here in the catch, you could always go ahead and say if ex dot starts with, the reason I know this because I've done this, you can say um, the earlier was starting with unauthorized endpoint, right? This one, unauthorized endpoint, UNA, this is the one. Which one is the actual? Okay, let's take this. If your system starts with something this, let's take it in case of both. It should be callout exception like this. So if this is something says your exception starts with system.callout exception starts with this, that means the remote site is missing. You can maybe create some sort of error message, error logs, store it in a custom object and say that was some error due to remote site settings, and that is done. Okay, it says incorrect signature starts with it's not going to work. I know that because there is no method inside this class. So what is that method? Is system.callout exception. Oops. Class. Any questions? I think in the meantime we're doing this. Any questions anyone has? Hello, are we here?
Yeah, we are.
I'm good.
Yeah, Amit,
Okay.
this is Sagar. The setting up the remote site means you are making aware of Salesforce that this is authorized request which I am initiating. Is that what you are trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Salesforce needs to know that, okay, it's kind of like, let's say that you're organizing a party
Uh-huh.
and you have invited many people to that party, right? So it's kind of a gate pass for Salesforce.
Okay.
If you have given the gate pass to your friends, or maybe the um, invite letter, then only they can enter to the system. That is what basically Salesforce says. Give me that. Tell me that this is the party that you have invited. Then only I can do anything, because there could be a possibility the URL we are hitting can spam Salesforce itself,
Okay.
right? So if you are adding that into the remote site settings, that means that someone has done that, and if there is a problem comes, then you have got that person name, and then you can check with that person why he or she has done that.
Okay.
Okay, So that is the main purpose of remote site settings, but after some times we will get rid of the site settings as well. So yeah, there is a method called get message inside the exception class. So we have used that get message here, and we say agar, if our message starts with the this is string, which is kind of going to remain same for every callout, that means there was a remote site missing. We need to add it.
One question, Amit.
Yes, go ahead.
Is it mandatory we needed to add that entire static message starts with system.callout exception unauthorized endpoint? Can we put like if like kind of a substring like unauthorized endpoint?
You can do that. You can always do that. It's not like mandate, but see, callout exception could be because of any other reasons. So this will always remain same. So to
Okay.
be safer side, we have added this whole string. You could maybe use a custom label to do it. You can keep changing, but for a safer side, this is what I would recommend to do it. Okay.
Sure.
So we have seen that okay, it's working fine. But now coming to this magic which we have done today. Okay, why this worked? Okay, so we know that system is a class and debug is a method, right? But we don't know what is this system. So have anyone of heard of the concept of namespace?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have heard, but not clear.
Okay, don't worry about that. I'm not going to use that namespace thing. Okay, so basically, namespace thing usually comes into the managed package. So whenever you try to publish your utility into the app exchange, you will have to provide a namespace. Okay, so what that is the namespace. Let's say there is a. I'm going to make it clear here. Let's say there is a namespace, for example, PS, which stands for Panther Schools. Okay, and then there is a class called let's say stripe stripe processor, something like that. Okay, and this class is actually a global class. This is a global class, and then this class has a method called something process charge, or maybe let's say charge only. This for making a payment in Stripe. Okay, now if you have to access this method outside of my managed package, like you can installed it in your Salesforce org. Okay, installed it in Salesforce org, and then now you wanted to access it. So how you will access? You will say ps, that is my namespace dot, then you will say type processors dot charge, and whatever the parameters are there, you need to pass those. So that is what here is happening. System is a namespace in Salesforce. Okay, which most of us actually ignores. System is a namespace. Inside system namespace, there is a class itself with the name called system, and then there is a method called debug inside that system. That is why we got it working. So namespace dot class dot method. That's what we did. Namespace dot class dot method. And if you Google it and you say system namespace in Salesforce, you will find so many classes you might not even have heard about. Okay, so you see here system. This is a namespace system.access label, access type, address, answers, pages, approvals, batch. Um, sorry, this is a namespace, and under that namespace, these are all the classes we have. Okay, so you can see all the classes, so many classes that we have inside system namespace. Hey, hi, Vishal.
Yeah, so like default namespace is system. That's what you meant to say.
Yes, default namespace is system.
So if we do
But
not mention any namespace, even then the namespace is system.
yes,
Okay.
that's what it is. And there are also other namespace as well, like Connect API or something. Many namespaces are there.
Okay.
But default is system. If you don't mention, it's system. If you mention, then it is that namespace.
Okay.
Okay. So this is, I think, the very simple, the first API call that you guys have made. And if you are doing it for the first time, congratulations to all of you for making it the first API call. Okay. Now coming to, I think we are good to go to the next concept, right?
Amit, one request. Can you like put those comments in the chat, like the step related comments?
Okay, you want to use it in your class?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Let me do it. Um, mm, this is the one, and this is okay. So
Okay. Thanks.
just I've just added, yeah, no worries. So
Hi, Amit. Sorry, Ravi here.
here
So
we.
I did this thing. Like first, it basically showed us the body in the system.debug logs, and what I tried to do is I actually followed you. You added try and catch, and I made my code like that, and then I removed the endpoint from the remote site settings because I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see that system.debug in the debug log,
Mm-hmm.
but it was not logged there.
It
So
was not. It was not logged there. Good.
yes,
I think that means the method name is no, method name is wrong. So what we have to do is we have to change this method now. Uh, so I have to go to this exception class, exception, sorry, not system, exception class Salesforce. So there are other methods, I believe. Then we need to use. Let's do it. I think let's do it. Let's remove this. I'm going to delete it. And there is a method called get stack trace string. Maybe I will use this. Don't use as of now this method. Okay. Uh, if we are able to do it, then we will confirm that okay, this is the method which we need to use. I think this should do the trick. This should do the trick. So let's kind of and also do one thing. Let's print this as well. If we print it outside the if condition, anyways, whatever the exception is going to get executed, that will be printed here, right? So we'll say exception executed dot 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 and ex, and the top one is basically system dot callout exception. So we are going to do that in order to differentiate the debug logs to see which one has executed. So let's deploy this and see what exactly happens. So we got this executed. Okay, let's see debug logs. Oh yes, this is not the. This is also not the things. So okay, I remember I did it long back, so can't think of what it was. And it says callout dot. This is also not the thing. String dot value of. Yes. I'm sorry. It should be string dot value of. Okay, I think we also need to put into the debug as well inside this to see if this comes here. Call out exception and then exception only. So you also don't need to remember all these things, okay? What says variable does, oh, sorry. So you also don't need to remember this like what is the method and all, because once you done it, you will have the code. You just need to copy it and paste it. That's what I have been doing, and now I forget it. So this time we should I think see the things, and we are here. You see here, call out exception. So basically, the actual thing is that we need to do is we need to say string dot value of whatever the variable that we have. the variable name, and then say starts with,
Okay.
and then this is what we have. So if you do
Okay.
this, you'll find it. Okay, thanks. I think flagging this.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, we are good right now for going to the next topic called API key authentication. Any anything that you want to cover, or we good? I think we are good. So let's talk about the next thing, which is API key authentication. API key authentication is basically the most simplest way of authentication that we would say, where what we do is we basically pass the API key in the URL itself. Okay, we pass the API key in the URL itself, where we say that this is my API key, and give me the result that based on this API key. So if the API key is valid, the system is going to give you the result. And for that, we have two options. One is exchange rate API again, and then other one is open case data API. Okay, so let's talk about this exchange rate API. If this is actually the valid API, it is a valid API. And let's don't talk about this. We will talk about this open case API. Okay, so if we open this link, I'm going to walk you through how this works, the document, do you read. But first, let me talk about what is this open case data API. So open case data API is basically an API which gives you the latitude and longitude if you provide the address, and if you provide the latitude and longitude, it gives you the address. So basically it is a uh, geocoding of address to latitude and longitude, and reverse geocoding of latitude and longitude to address. That is the API. There would be many cases where based on the address, your business would want to get the latitude and longitude, and based on the latitude and longitude, your business would want to get the address. So this API is going to be really helpful. There is a free version of this API available, so that's what we are going to use, and then we will do the implementation. And before doing the implementation, we will actually uh, see it working in the Postman this time. Anyways, this is also going to be a GET request, which you can access easily using the browser, but we would really want to do it from the Postman now. Okay, so for this, what we need to do is we just need to say open case API. Just Google it, and you will find opencasedata.com. This is going to be your platform. The link is in the chat window. So this is the platform, and maybe you might get indebted to this home page. As we talked about, right? Every time we want to integrate any system with anything, what we want is we want that system to provide us the API document. So for OpenGeoCase, we already have an API document available with us, and that we can find visiting the website called opencasedata.com. So if you see here, we are here in this website. Now, how to go to the documents? For that, you need to go to geocoding API. So basically, you can go to different tabs and you will figure it out where exactly that API document is. So geocoding API, and under that you will find a link called API document. So if you click on this, it will take you to the API document. Now, if you see here, under every API which is going to accept some sort of authentication, will have something called authentication. So if you click on that authentication, it will say that using the OpenGeocode API requires a valid API key that you must pass with each HTTP request as the value of key parameter of one of the two required parameters. Okay, and it says sign up for your geocoding API. So please go ahead and sign up. Okay, and that's what I'm also going to do. So I'm going to say email and password. Okay, my name is Amit Singh. My company name is Panther Schools. My email is sfdcpanther plus CEO coder @gmail.com, and my password could be anything. Okay, so I'm going to continue. It says captcha. I have to verify the captcha. Please do it. And okay, I don't want to save it. I don't want to save it. So I've got the email. Actually, now I need to verify this. And now I need to verify. You also need to verify once you have received the email, because that is the process. So let's go ahead and verify this. So open your email and okay, you have, it says we tried to register your website today, but you already have an account. So basically I already have an account. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in, but you will get a verification email. So just go ahead and verify it. Email and password, I guess yes. So I already had an account, so I just logged in. You will, after verifying the email, you will be able to log in. So can anyone confirm if you are able to get the email and able to log in into the system?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, good, good, good. So we are kind of got this account created. Now how we will get this API? So after you are logged into this system, you will navigate it to the dashboards, and you need to go to geocoding API and your API keys. Okay, free trial and one-time plan. Customer can have only one API at active time. That's fine. You just need to get this API key. You see here, you just need to take this API key, copy it, and we will use it later on in Salesforce. But for now, let's go to the documents again. Get back to the geocoding API documents. And this time it will tell us that under quick start itself, it will tell us that your geocoding API is there. We have got this API. Okay. Now, if you see here, it says start geocoding right now by requesting a URL. So it says reverse geocoding, where we need to provide a latitude and longitude. Forward geocoding, where we need to provide an address. So if you click on this URL, whatever it is given here, if you click on this tiny button, it is going to take you to the URL, and in the URL you will see that there is a key parameter which is accepting your API key, and some query parameters that are accepting the latitude and longitude URL encoded, right? And then here you will find, based on this latitude and longitude, if you scroll down to the bottom, under components you will find all the details, like what is the city, what is city district, continent, country code, uh, mm, country name two times. Okay, this is country, this is county, sorry. House number, office, post okay, political union, and then postcode, road, state, all these details are available here. So this component is going to be your key thing when you are doing the reverse geocoding for getting the address from the latitude and longitude. Okay, we will talk about how to get this in Salesforce, how to update the Salesforce, every single thing we will talk about. This was about reverse geocoding. Then there is something called forward geocoding, where you need to provide the address to get the latitude and longitude. Again, the tiny button is there. If you click on that, you will see, and then again you have to go to the component section. Components, under components you will find, okay, this is not here, sorry, under component itself, below component, there is something called geometry, which is going to give you the latitude and longitude. That's what you need. And it actually giving you multiple results based on a single request. However, it should not happen. You should not get multiple results, but there should be one result only. You just go to that result. Under that result, you need to go to geometry in case of your forward. Okay, this is annotation, bounds, and this is geometry is what where you are going to get the latitude and longitude. How do I know? Because I have done this integration earlier. That is why I'm telling you, because I don't want you to spend or scratch your head around to figure it out which particular component is actual our geocoding and sorry, our latitude and longitude. So I've done this earlier for one of my clients, and that's why I have got this information available on my head. So but this is just trying that request, right? This is just, they said okay, this is how you can start. But if you scroll down, it says authentication. You talked about here, it says these are the details. You need to pass the API key. Then it talks about the request format, how the request format is going to be prepared. So it says that this is the base URL where it says api.opencasedata.com /geocode /version, and the version is I think 2. If you go to our API, version is v1, sorry, not v1, version is v1. Then what is the format? Now this actually gives you two formats, XML and JSON. So if you say here we are saying JSON, and if you change it to XML, we will see the response in the form of XML as well. And if you don't let's say if you don't do, or if you don't give anything, and if we hit, by default it says format is missing. So we have to give the format for sure. Okay, yes, we have to give the format either XML or JSON. So whatever the format we want, we just need to tell and it will give us. Now because this API is giving you both JSON and XML, that means it's clearly a REST API, because REST API can only give you the JSON response apart from XML. So that is what we have here. And then if you see that okay, it says format and then parameters, and these are the parameters like parameters. Here it says key, you have to give the key. Then q is the query parameter. So apart from q, if you say something else, let's say instead of q we are saying a or c, it's not going to work. You see here, it's not going to work. So here we got q, and it says, if you see here in the q, it will say this is example usage it has given, and it says if not provided, the request will fail with the status code as 400, missing or bad query. The must be URL encoded, that's what we talked about. The query must be URL encoded, and then there are other things that we have. And then we have got optional parameters. It says observe, it says we set to 1, attempt to observe and sort in the format. Example is this, when set to 1, let's see, let's add it as 1. So basically we kind of need to make sure that we are doing all these kind of things to understand the things, to play around with the API. You're playing around here. Instead of XML, I will say JSON, and we will see the details. Now there is one more parameter which says address only. So if we say, let's say if you're saying address only, kind of add it here and say address only, is it going to return address only? Not sure what it is. We have to read it. It says when set to 1, we include only address excluding POI names and the formatted string we return. Okay, I think they just give us only the address. If we go to components, okay, they've got formatted address as well, and they remove something. So we have to just go through that. There are so many things. Country code, you can just give the country code. If you know for which country, you can give the limit as well to get the limited results as we talked about. You can say and limit equal to 1. Instead of getting so many results, you will see one result only. Do you see now? Earlier we used to see 5, but now we have got only one result. So if we keep, that's basically how we go and talk about the uh, details, talk about the not talk about the details. We see how the API works, right? And yes,
Amit
yes,
bhai,
go ahead, sir.
sorry, Ravi here. Sorry to interrupt you, but I just couldn't stop myself asking this, so have to ask now. So it looks like a user
Yeah.
manual. Like before we start a coffee machine or a oven, we have to read our user manual, what button, what it does and what it does not, what will break a thing. So it looks like to me on a high level, before you start asking this API that what is my latitude and longitude, you should know how to request, how to make a proper request. And for that, this they have given us this table, and the table is saying key is the thing which I will look for in your request, and queue is the thing which I will look for in your request. Without it, I will never take your request. Is that correct understanding?
Yes, yes, exactly. So basically, that's what we said, right? API is basically kind of a documentation which tells you how you are going to communicate with the external system. And before you actually start writing the code, this is the uh, like you need to go to the API document and start understanding how you're going to make the API request. So that is what, yes, it is a kind of user manual.
So it means that if ever one day we write an API, we have to work on creating the API and have to do this documentation after creation of the hardware itself. Like we also have to factor this part that we have to make a good documentation. Otherwise, no one will be able to use our API.
Yes, so if you're writing an API on Salesforce and you want someone to use it, that's your duty to create the document.
Okay. So no one will do it for us, or there is no tool which will save our efforts on that. We have to be clearly articulating what we need as a parameters.
Yes, so see, for Salesforce there are no tools exactly. Okay, if you are writing the API for in Salesforce, like we will be doing, but if you're doing that in Salesforce, there are no tools which can help you. But when it comes to tools like Postman, where you are developing the API, tools like MuleSoft, where you are developing the APIs, then that actually the document is automatically gets generated by those APIs. So in case of developing the API on top of MuleSoft, it's very easy. You just write the code, the document is getting generated by default. All you need to do is you just need to tell this is my endpoint, this is the request, this is the structure of the request, this is the response, these are the headers. For this response, this is the output. For this response, this is the output. If you don't give me the body, this is the output. All these documents will get automatically generated by the system itself. It's not actually a system, it's a raml kind of things. It gets generated automatically.
Thank you, Amit. So just one more example. So let's say we want to find the temperature of a particular place or a state or city. Then there is a API for that. What that API is expecting is tell me because city name can be common. Like Canada is now Toronto is in Canada as well. Toronto is in some other country as well. I guess. I think in Australia itself there is a Toronto. So what they would be expecting is that we have to provide our city name and then the country name, then only they will give us temperature.
Hmm. Yeah, true.
Okay.
Or if you only give the country city name, they might give you the temperature for both the countries. That could also be one case.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So now going back to let's say, let's copy this URL, get back to the Postman, because we talked about we are going to have something on Postman. Let's create a new collection, a blank collection, and we'll say open case geocoder, and then add a request. It's obviously a get request, but we have multiple options. It's obviously a get request. Let's paste the URL here. So this is basically a reverse geocoding because we are accepting the latitude and longitude. So let's name the request as reverse geocoding. Okay, so now you see the name has been changed to reverse geocoding. If you see that there are query parameters which has been added here. So if you want to remove any of them, you can just check this checkbox and that will get removed. And now if you send it here, you will see this is the response that you received. You save it, you got this saved. If you want, you can save this response as example. So later on in future, you come back and under that request, the response is saved. You can see it clearly here. This is the one thing. Now next thing is that, let me close this. Next thing is in Postman itself, this API key is basically a sensitive information. You don't want to let's say you are giving the demo to the clients or to anyone, or maybe you are recording a video. So either you have to edit that video to remove the sensitive information, or you have to blur it. You might have to do it. But in Postman, as we talked about, we've created some environments. Let's take this, cut this API key as of now, send the request. You will see a error message here, which says that status code is 401. Okay. Now, if we go to environments, let's create a new environment called open case. Okay. And under this environment, let's create a variable called API underscore key. This doesn't I think accept the space, so don't give the space, and special characters, don't give that. So API key, this is a type of secret, so I'm going to make it a secret and paste it here. So your API key is kind of created here for your environment open case. And now select your environment, which is open case. For this open case, this is the open case environment. Save it. Now to access that variable, what you need to do is just use double curly braces starting. You will see your API key comes here. Select it and done. Now in the URL itself, you will see API key. If you hover over, you will see your API key in terms of secret. If you want to see it, you would always have an eye icon. And I don't think you would like to do that. But yes, when you are personally working, you would like to see it. The scope is environment that you can be accessed under that environment. And if you now send it, you will see again the result is here. Right? So that's basically one thing that I wanted to tell you here, that this is something we have. Like pretty is something which says it's not actually the sensitive information, but let's say if you want to store it as a variable, you just say okay, select that, and then set as a variable will come into the picture. You can create a new variable, let's say pretty scope. You can select either it is a global or it is a active environment, which is open case, or it is a collection label. Let's make it as collection label. So there would be a variable which is now created here, and this is a simple variable where it says the value is 1. If you hover over, you see the value. Similarly, you can go to the, if you go here, you can create another request by clicking on these three dots and say add a request. You could always go to let's say forward geocoding, and you just play around with it. Okay, I'm not going to do that, but you can always go ahead and do it. So that is something that we wanted to play around with the Postman. Now,
Amit, sorry. Just if you can hold on to that screen for 1 second, where you showed us how to do reverse coding through Postman.
just for 1 second.
No, not 1 second, like 10 seconds. Yeah, I think I did not give API in the GET request. Okay, I will do like that. And if I say capital K and EY, will it make any difference?
I think it should make a difference. Let's try it. These are all the things we could always try it. It's not making any difference.
Yeah, okay. Case insensitive. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we are good so far, right? Everyone, whoever has tried this with me, we are good.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, let's get our hands on dirty with Salesforce now. So we are going to create maybe a class, and we will say open case geocoder service. Okay. So we are going to talk about the reverse geocoding. Okay, and forward geocoding is something that you would need to do as an assignment. So we'll say public static void reverse geocoding. Okay, reverse geocoding. And as we talked about, right? Let's quickly copy paste. And I think it's not now. It's clear to everyone, right? What are the steps we need to follow? So we just need to copy paste here, and few things that we need to change. That's the only thing that we need to change, right? So we have just copy pasted the exact code. Few things that we will change here now is the first thing that we need to change is the URL. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to take this URL itself, paste it here. As of now, this is a static URL that we have done. Okay, now this is a static URL that we have done, and we are going to make few changes as well, but for now let's go ahead and deploy this. This is pretty simple. Copy paste from the previous code, change the URL, nothing else needs to be changed, and we are done. And yes, I think debug also needs to be changed. You will say response from open case or data API instead of currency API.
And then we have to add it in remote site settings as well, no?
Exactly, yes, you have to. So let's add it under remote site setting as well. Open case data. Save it. So we are done here. Let's take this open case geocoder service now. Paste it here. And the class method name is reverse geocoding. So if everything is fine, we would be able to see the success response in terms of success as a status code, the logs, and everything will be available. And we see it here. We see it clearly. We can see the JSON file. We can see the total results are 1. We can see that the status code is 200, and on the top status code is okay. That means it's working fine. But few things are here that that actually we have to now consider, and the couple of things that are, this URL needs to be not hard coded. It should be somewhere sitting inside the custom label. The key should be not hard coded. It should also be somewhere inside the custom label. And I think the query latitude and longitude is something that we will be getting dynamically from somewhere. So for now, let's focus on these two things. The URL, which is up to JSON, that URL is we are going to put inside a custom label. So let's copy this URL, go to your Salesforce org, and from the setup search for custom label and click on new custom label. And here you have to provide, maybe this is geo, it's open case, and we can say open case API underscore key. Paste the, sorry, it's not the API key, it's the URL. So we'll say API URL instead of key. So this is the one thing, the URL we have added, and remember we have done it up to JSON and question mark is not here. Then click on save and new. Take your API key as well, and say we are going to say now open case underscore API underscore key, and paste it here and save this. Let's copy this. So we have got now these two labels which we have created. One is open case API key and one is open case API URL. Now we know that this is where we have added our static values, and we need to kind of use these details in our Apex class. So let's copy the URL one by one. So sorry, the sort description of your custom label, that is open case API URL. And here what we have to do is we have to say system dot label dot the name of our label plus, and let's get rid of this URL up to JSON, because which is now available in our custom label. Similarly, for this key, let's get rid of everything. Use a plus, use two single quotes and then add a plus between the single quotes. Not one, you need to add two plus and say system.label.api key. Sorry, open case API key, whatever the label, our custom label is. Now what we've done is basically we have kind of created a custom label and make this class as a dynamic kind of things. And then let's go ahead and deploy this. Up to here, we all are following, right? No questions, nothing. These are very pretty and simple concepts, right? So we have done. We are done here. Now, if we again go ahead to the developer console, so make sure you test it after every change you make. Make sure you test the API after every change you make. That is really important. Now it's done. We are still getting the logs. That means we are getting the information coming to us. We are still good. This is the one part. The next part that we have is, now we are still taking this latitude and longitude as static keywords, not keywords, actually static values. And we would like to take these latitude and longitude dynamically, right? Because that is how it's going to, that is how our API going to work. So now here comes the first scenario which we are going to talk about is, let's say that your company, your client or your business actually have got a latitude and longitude field on account object. Okay. And then they say that we are going to provide you the latitude and longitude. Could you please make an API call and get those latitude and longitude which are available under that account, and then get the address, update it under the account address. Account maybe shipping or billing address. Not billing, let's say account shipping address, right? So this is the scenario. Again, repeating it. Uh, we have got uh, sorry, yeah. So we have got basically a scenario where we have a field, custom field location on your account object. User is going to go and provide the latitude and longitude. We need to take that location field, get the latitude and longitude into our Apex class based on the account record ID, then make the API call, get the address, and then store the address into Salesforce. So basically, we are actually going to implement something which is useful. So the first step is always to create a field on the account object. Let's go to account, not account, object manager, then account, and then go to fields and relationships. Click on new, and then we are going to say location. Geolocation is the field because it gives us both the latitude and longitude. And then let's name it as field label as location, and latitudes and longitude display notation. It says degrees, minutes, and seconds. Let's keep it as decimal. Decimal places is, let's say, 5. Click on next. Okay, visible to every profiles. Again, next, make sure you have added those into the layouts and save those. So far we all are on same page. Everyone is following. Any doubts, any questions? Okay, so the first step is done. Second step is to now make the changes into our Apex class. So let's say our Apex class is going to accept the account ID as a parameter. Okay, we are going to get the account ID as a parameter. We are saying, okay, give me the account ID as a parameter. I will query the latitude and longitude, and then I will make the API call, and then I will update back that account record. So now we have got the account ID as a parameter in our, this is an argument that we have received in our method. Now, what we have to do is, before even we make the callouts, we have, I think, that is step 0 to get the latitude and longitude. So what we will do is, we have got this account ID. So let's quickly say account ACC record equal to, we'll say select, we need ID, and then we need the latitude and longitude from account where ID equal to account ID, and there would be always one record, but let's add limit 1, and we need latitude and longitude, right? So we will say location, and it should be underscore latitude, or it is underscore underscore latitude, underscore underscore C. Okay, I have to Google it. Okay, I have to Google it in Salesforce Apex. So basically, how we Google the geocode field in Salesforce is a kind of very important. It says the issue, here is the link. Okay, yes, this is how we actually do. So we say we have got location. This is our field API name. If we go to account, location, you see, and the data type is geolocation. So that's why we said location. Then we said underscore underscore latitude underscore underscore S. That is going to give you the latitude. And then longitude underscore underscore S is going to give you the longitude for that specific account which we are querying here based on the ID. So far we are clear, right? Everyone is clear? Any doubts? Anything?
Just a small doubt, Amit. What if the double underscore S? It should have been either double underscore C or something, but
Yeah, this is the actually special case whenever you have created a geolocation field in any object and you want to query that geolocation field, you cannot directly query using location underscore underscore C. What you have to do is you have to say location underscore underscore latitude, then underscore underscore S, and then similarly for longitude.
okay.
So that's the special, I would say, notation for location fields. Okay, so we have got it here. We have deployed it in Salesforce, but that was step 0 to get the location records. Now let's prepare the query parameters. We'll say query params equal to, how we are going to prepare is, we'll say, assuming that we are going to have this parameter, maybe let's add condition and this is not equal to null. I'm hoping this is going to work, and this is also not equal to null. Let's see if this works. Let's try to deploy this. So what we are saying is that you give us the information about the account. Okay, I don't think this really works. The not equal to null. Okay, where it says missing a semicolon at line number 19, this really doesn't work. I'm assuming that we have got this latitude and longitude information available with us. Oh, okay. We really, so the error earlier, it was coming because of this variable query params was not defined properly. We have defined it. Let's say now if the AND condition works and we are able to deploy it and this works really. So that is good. Now this query is actually going to give us the account record that have the latitude and longitude, assuming that we are going to get record, not focusing more on error handling side as of now. Now how we are going to do is we are going to say ACC record dot. Now in this URL that we have constructed, right? So let's say this is the URL which we have constructed earlier. It says after Q, We have got 52.37 something is there, and then we have got 9 point something. We don't know which is latitude and which one is longitude, right? We really don't know which one exactly is a latitude and which one exactly is a longitude. So what we have to do is, if we go to the document and we see here in the document, it's, if you go to the top, it says queries latitude and longitude. So the first one should be latitude and the second one should be longitude. That's what we have. First one is latitude and second one is longitude. And if you see that, this is how we need to prepare: latitude, comma, longitude. So we need to make sure we are looking into the specific details. If we don't look into the specific details, we would be really doomed. We will not be able to make it work. So we have to prepare something like this. And one important thing is that if you come here under the query parameters, it says key is the request parameters Q, and if you read the second point, it says must be URL encoded. So whatever we are doing, we need to encode it in the URL form, URL encode. So let's first prepare that thing. First one is latitude, and second one is with the help of a comma, second one is longitude, which is ACC record.longitude, and that is what our query param says. Let's go ahead and deploy this. This was the step 0.1.
Sorry, Amit, for interrupting. Two times you copied latitude only in 15th line.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I'll make the changes. It should be longitude. Yes. So it's first latitude and longitude, right? Now we are good. This is not actually the URL encoded. If you want, let's go ahead and say system.debug and do this query parameters here. And if we use this query parameter in place of Q now, so let's use it now. If we use it here and deploy this, try to run the code, we should see something else. We should see something. So let's go to developer console. I'm going to clear the logs and execute it. Yes, definitely our method is not now signature is not correct because it takes the account record ID. So let's go to account. Let's go to accounts and open any account we have. This is Burlington Textile Corporation of America. Go to the details. You will find your location field here. Edit it and let's put the same what we have. Let's put the same what we have got here in the example of our API document. Let's put it, get back and get the longitude as well from the API document and put it here, save it. So we have got this location details here, latitude and longitude. Let's get this account ID and then paste it here as a parameter so that now our method works. It recognizes that the signature is correct, execute it, and now we might see a success response, we might see an error response. Let's say debug only, and okay, we got latitude and longitude. Response we have got, but what is the response? Is it a success or it is an error response? Status code is 200, result is 1. Status here it is 200. That means it works. We don't really need to worry about doing the URL encoding in case of, at least in case of reverse geocoding. So just prepared the things whatever it was prepared that way, passed this query parameter in our endpoint, and we got that result. That's what we have got it here. So whatever it is, Germany or something, what the components and all, we have got it. So now we have got this. As of now, any questions?
Just one question, Amit. I think we have entered the same latitude and longitude, and what is the address which is converted by this API? Can you just give me the city name, and in formatted it should be there, no? Formatted line.
Yes, it should be there. It is design office. What is this? Phil. Yeah, Philly
Mine is
Fosfront.
coming different. एक second. Okay, so my latitude and longitude are different from yours.
Okay.
But we just want to make sure that what you gave.
You can use, these are the latitude and longitudes which I have used. Let me put in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
this is the same one I gave.
Everyone has given same one, and it's giving us a different address.
Yeah, I gave a latitude ending with 7783 and longitude with 4394.
That is correct. Yes, that's what we have given.
And my address is coming as something like Münster, Germany.
What the hell is this?
No problem. I just want to make sure that we should be getting the same address, no? Because if it's converting from latitude and longitude.
Yes, it should be. It should be not, because that is the API. But this API also says the same thing, Germany, right? You see the Germany, right?
Yeah, but I think place name. So yours is coming as design office. Mine is coming as something else. Just give me 1 second.
Okay. Can you maybe paste this address in the chat? Like, I cannot say anything on this API.
Yeah.
Okay. But that shouldn't be the case. It should give the exact whatever is giving here. The flag itself is Germany, so definitely this address is for Germany.
Okay, just give me 1 second. I'm opening in a new tab that whole URL from, and it is coming as per your what you are getting, which is design office something. Yeah, design office Hanover, Germany. But in the developer console, when I actually run the class which we just compiled, or maybe I need to find the Hanover. Yeah, there is no Hanover in the output, so definitely it is not the same. But anyway, it's a minor issue. I just want to make sure that we have the right understanding.
It should actually give the correct same address.
Yeah.
It
So can anyone confirm if we are getting the same address which Amit is showing on the screen?
I'm yet to hit the API now.
Okay. So maybe Ravi, if you are searching for Hanover, search something like this, exactly whatever the text is, without any like change. Just say exactly like this, H as capital, and then like this. See if you are finding anything in the search box.
Sure.
Format is coming same as you, Amit. Design offices.
Okay. Anyone else
Yeah.
is trying? Maybe anyone. So Ravi,
what I will do is I will just clear the log
Mm-hmm.
through the clear button and through anonymous window. One more time I will run, because you are using Burlington, I'm using United Oil and Gas, but the coordinates are same.
Yeah, that doesn't matter until unless the coordinates are same.
Okay, just give me 1 second. It will be clear. Yeah, same thing. So I am getting a different address. And I can't even say that because it is very jumbled letters and like I can't pronounce it. But anyway, it's a minor issue.
No worries. It could be because of you're trying from Australia, we're trying from India, I guess. That could also be issue. However, it shouldn't be, but that might, I can think of, that could be the one reason.
Okay. So when Sagar
Okay,
will
maybe.
try and
Yeah,
I
I will
think
confirm it tomorrow in the group to see whether I'm also getting a different response or the same.
Okay. Okay.
only address bit should be different.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good. So I think as of now we are on the same page, everyone, right?
Yep.
Except the responses. Okay. So now we have got the response. Next thing is that what we need to do is we kind of need to parse this whole jumbled JSON and then put it whatever. Let's say get this components for us and then update the details into our account billing or shipping address. It could be any of them. We are going to use shipping address, but you need to do this, right? So how we are going to get in this? So there is a very simple way to do this. Copy the whole JSON, copy it, and in the Google just search for admin booster JSON to Apex. And what it will do is it will open this tool which is admin booster JSON to Apex. I'll share the link as well. Open this and paste your JSON which you have copied here in the top box. Okay. So what this will do is we have just pasted the JSON as of now. Now if you see there is something called class name here, just give the class name. Let's say I'm going to say open case response. It is reverse, right? It's a reverse response wrapper. This is the name of my uh, this is the name of my response that sorry, this is the name of my class, and then generate the apex. If you click on generate apex class, it's actually going to generate the whole apex class that is needed for us. This is going to generate every single thing. Okay, but before we generate it, let's get this JSON copy, and I'm going to open another website which is codebeautify.org/JSON viewer. Again, I will go to share the URL as well. Paste it, the JSON here, and click on Beautify to see the JSON. The reason I'm kind of opening this because I wanted to see something, or I will not see something. I wanted to remove something. So what exactly we need, right? We don't need this document license rates and all. Let's get rid of these. We need the results, definitely the results. Under results, we don't need annotations, we don't need bounds, we don't need the okay, we need the components, but under components we don't need all these ISO whatever it is there. And then we don't need the confidence, we don't need this distance and all, we don't need the formatted address, geometry and all. Geometry could be useful in terms of uh, forward geocoding. Status and all don't need it. Total result is also not needed. Yes. So what we are saying here is we have just prepared our JSON with the response which is needed for us. That's it. Because there were so many that JSON was huge, and we've got getting so many parameters which are not even needed, and we are not going to use at all those, right? So now get this final JSON, get back to JSON to Apex admin booster, paste the final JSON and click on generate Apex class. Now this is your final class that we are going to use. Okay, and thanks Manjunath for confirming that you are also getting the same address. And can you also confirm that you're also from India, you're connecting this?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the one thing. Now we have got this class. Let's get this, copy the class name, create a new class with the same name or whatever name you want. You have got the class name. Get back to your admin booster here. Get everything. Control A, Control C. Paste it here. Remove now unnecessary things. So what I'm going to do is there would be a method for parsing. I'm going to remove it. Then there will be a test method that I'm also going to remove it. Testing and all we'll talk about later on. So this is our class which we have just created from the JSON. Now if you see that some of the class are having CLS underscore. So let's get rid of these. So if you are in VS Code, select CLS underscore and say Control F, and then you just need to click on this arrow icon to expand, and then replace. Don't do anything, don't add anything, and just click on this replace all icon, and it's going to replace CLS with blank value. We don't need CLS underscore or something. And I think we did made a mistake. uh, yes, that's good, that is good, sorry, that is what we did was correct. Okay, now if you see that there are few classes which are private by default, so we also need to make sure that we are making those classes as public so that we can access these outside of these classes itself. So there is a class itself called open case reverse response wrapper. Then under that there is a variable called results, which is nothing, which is another class that have all the details which we need. And under components is what, like I think this is what we don't need. Let's get rid of these three variables as well. And some of the variables which we don't need, let's get rid of those. Just get rid of those, because nothing is going to help us to keep the things here. And these comments, if you want, get rid of those comments as well. And if you don't want, you can also keep as it is. I'm not going to remove. So we are able to generate, I think Ravi and Manju North, we are following along with me. So you are able to generate the JSON and create a class and save it.
Actually, when you basically were at code.beautify, then I lost pace and I was not able to be as like following you. So now I will do it when I will be watching the recording again.
Okay, no worries. So
I'm
basically,
converting. I'm trying to do it.
okay, please go ahead. And so we have got this class, right? We got this class is ready now. Now let's take this class. Now what we said is, yes, here. Now a couple of things now we are going to change as well. Let's get rid of this body now, the logs basically, and couple of things that we are going to check here now is, as we are getting this status code, so in case of get method, status code will always be 200. Or you can also go to your Postman, and when you are hitting this reverse geocoding, you will see that status code is coming as 200. Okay, so that means if the API is successfully executed, we will get a status code as 200, and if API is not success, we will get some other status code. So we are going to add a condition here. We will say if status code equal to 200, that means there was a success, else there was an error. Error handling code, you could add it here. In case of success now, you would like to do the things here. Main logic is going to reside here, right? So as we said, this method, the return type of this method is string. Which method? Get body method is string. And how we are going to convert that string into our class? We have created a class, we know that. Now there are JSON class methods. There is a JSON class inside system namespace. There is a JSON class inside system namespace, and inside JSON class there are methods like deserialize, and then there is a, like we have got deserialize untyped. Then there is method called deserialize strict. These are some of the methods that we have inside this JSON class that we are going to use very frequently in terms of integration. So if we go to the Google and search for JSON class plus Salesforce, open this JSON class, you will find like there is a method called deserialize untyped, deserialize strict, and deserialize. Our main focus is going to be on this deserialize method mostly, and mostly we are going to work with this deserialize. Okay. So what this deserialize says that if you have a string in the form of JSON, what you could do is you could convert that string into any custom standard object or any custom or standard Apex class. That's what the deserialize says. So if you have a class prepared based from a JSON input which has the exact variables which are there in JSON. When we say exact variables, so if you go to your JSON, you will find there is a results which is a type of array. If you go to JSON, you'll find there is a results which is a type of array, and this is an array of objects, right? This is an array of objects, and that object is nothing, is a class. Under this object, if you see that there is something called components, this is an object. Object you can consider as an class object, the instance of a class. That is what we have got, the components, which is a type of class components. The variable name is exactly same. The class name could be anything. You could change the class name as anything, but this variable name should exactly match with the name which is available in your JSON. So if you use JSON booster, you don't need to worry. Admin booster, you don't need to worry about any variable naming or anything, and you are done. Okay. So this is the class we have now. So with the help of JSON deserialize method, what we will do is we'll say, okay, uh, inside, first let me tell you how it's going to work. So we will use system dot JSON dot, I'm going to copy the name of method. The first parameter is going to be the string which you want to convert, that is the response body. The second parameter is going to be the the type, the class name, the object name, where you wanted to convert. So our class name is this, and every standard class, every custom class, that will have the .cls at the end. Any standard object, custom object, anything, even if you use account, it would be account.cls. Behind the scene, everything is a class. Okay. Now the method name, we need to copy it. So let's copy this method name. And one thing you need to notice, or you might have noticed, is the return type of this deserialize method is object. Right? It says object. Object is basically the parent class. It can store anything inside this. The object, if you declare a variable with the data type as object, that object can contain anything. A list, it can contain a list, it can contain a Boolean value, it can contain the decimal, anything, any data type you name it, it can contain, it can store every single thing. Okay. So that is why the object is a generic return type. It's a super class, you could say. So this class is returning object. Now if you want to store this into your class, so you'll say, okay, we wanted to store it inside a wrapper class. It's still visible to everyone, right?
Yes, yes.
You can
Yeah.
read it clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So if you see here, what we said, perform the deserialization, and whatever the string we are giving you, convert in this class, and whatever the result that you are going to give us, store in the object of this class, or open case reverse response wrapper, and the variable name is wrapper. But as we said, the return type of deserialize method is object. Even if we try to deploy this, we will get the error. First, let's save it and try to deploy this. We will get the error. The reason we will get the error, because the return type of this is object and the return type of this variable is the class. Those are not going to match, right? Sorry, it should not be CLS, it should be class, CLASS. It should be class. Okay, instead of CLS it should be class. That was my bad. And if you try to deploy this, now you will get that. You see here it says illegal assignment from object to open reverse response wrapper. So how to fix this issue? To fix this issue, we need to do the typecasting. So we are saying you are the big person. Now we wanted to convert you to like object to anything. And in our case, any is the class. And if you do this now, you will be able to deploy it successfully, and there would be no issues at all. There would be no issues at all. You see here. Once you have got the information into your wrapper class, now what you need is use this wrapper class variables to get the details. Now what we will do is we'll say, okay, let's add a if condition if wrapper dot results, if wrapper dot results is not equal to null, and wrapper dot results dot sorry wrapper dot results dot size is greater than 0. Can anyone tell me if we can write this condition in a better way? Anyone, if you have read the recent release notes?
We
Empty.
can,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe right is empty.
Is empty.
No, it's
Not
a
in.
null spacing something we got. No, latest.
Oh,
Yes,
null
yes,
collation.
yes, we've got null coalescing
Null
operator.
collation.
So what we will do is we'll not use this now. We will say wrapper. So we'll say wrapper dot like this. So what we are saying is if there is something in wrapper, then go and check for results. If there is something in results, that means it's not null, then go and check for size. Okay. So that's how it does. So it is, if we talk about this is equivalent to something like this. If we talk about the above one is equivalent, like wrapper is not equal to null, and wrapper dot results is not equal to null, and wrapper dot results dot size is greater than 0. That's why we've got two question marks. That means there are two conditions before checking the size. Okay, so it's better to write this way because that's how it works. So we've got this wrapper dot results dot size is greater than 0. If that's the case, let's get the
Amit, why can't we use is empty? Not equal to is empty?
is empty is a method of a string class. So if the value itself is null, you cannot use is empty. It will throw you the null pointer exception.
No, it will check for the null also, Amit. That's
No,
for
no, no.
sure.
Is empty doesn't check for null. So let me show you how the is empty looks. It's look for, you will say wrapper dot results dot is empty, because that's how you will use, right?
We use not equal to at the front, right?
No, that is fine. But let's say this is how you will
Okay.
use. You could as not equal to or anything, right?
Okay.
But now consider a scenario where wrapper dot results is null. Now scenario is wrapper dot results is null. Even we are not talking about wrappers, but we are just talking about wrapper dot results is null, right? So how your statement is going to be translated now? It will say null dot is empty, and as soon as you try to do anything with this keyword called null, you will get null pointer exception. You got my point?
Yeah, I did try to do it in an anonymous window also. It was trying to check the null also. I just given in one condition, assigning that value to null, and I given an if
Let me
condition
show
to
you.
check. Yeah.
Let me show you. So we said null dot is empty, okay? And I'm just executing it, okay? Execute highlighted. And you will see what it says variable dot. First of all, it says variable does not exist null, okay? Now let me create a list. Let's say list of a string. a string or maybe fruits list, and let's assign it as null, okay, by default, and say null dot is empty. At the end this is same, right? At the end this is same. You can consider this list of string as nothing wrapper dot list, wrapper dot results, right?
Yeah.
Now if you try to do this, you will get the error, attempt to dereference a null object,
Okay.
because you cannot perform any operation on this null. So you cannot put is empty until unless you know that your string is always going to return at least one, or if not, then it is at least like a blank string, something like this. If you don't know, you cannot use that kind of things. If you do this now, there would be no error.
Amit, I just want to share something with Sagar and you. So the other day, I think 2-3 days before, I created a trigger, and in insert and update, I had a common method, but insert requires only new and update requires new and old map both. So the method was common. I had two arguments, and I was comparing it using the same way like you were showing, which is like when I was doing null check, I was using is empty, and it always generated this null pointer exception. So now I know why.
Yes. Okay, so we cannot use is empty because that's null. So that's why. And now this was the first case where wrapper dot results was null. There could be a case where wrapper itself is null, right? So even if you say null dot results is going to give you the error. So that's why it's better to always kind of use these JSONs to get rid of those errors. Okay, that is one thing. Now you have got this open case wrapper class. Under that there is a class called result itself. We'll say class, and we will say rslt equal to, and we'll say new, and let's say not new. We don't need. Oh, sorry, what happened? We don't even need new. We will say uh, give us wrapper dot results dot get 0. Okay, under this result we will get all the details. Now we are under this object, this class. Under that result there is something called components. Under that components we've got all our details, right? Now what we need to do is we need to update our account record. So what we will do is we will say, okay, let's go to this account record which is ACC, we will say ACC dot let's say we're going to say billing street equal to, we'll say result dot, we've got components dot, then we've got street, which one is among this is a street? I think this road is a street. Okay, so let's say road. Now always use this coalescing operators so that you don't get the errors. So we said, okay, if there is nothing in the result, that's fine, go ahead and store it blank. If there is something in the results, check for components. If there is nothing in the components, that is also fine. If everything is there, road is going to be stored into the streets. And now let's do the update DML. I don't want to put all other details. Okay, you could always map it, like there are so many city, you could map it to the billing city. You have country, you could map it to the billing country. You have postal code, you could map it to the billing postal code. State is billing state. And I don't think anything else you need. And if you need, you could always do the concatenation and all, right? And formatted is still going to give you the complete address. So let's go ahead and deploy this. So it's clear, right, everyone? Any confusion is not there to anyone?
Yeah, Amit, can you please come over? How did you typecasted this? The wrapper class?
I didn't get your question.
Okay, before system, you given that open case, you just typecasted that.
Yes,
So
yes.
how did you do that? Can you please come again?
How did I do that? I just
You were referring that. How do we know that we need to typecast?
Okay, so this deserialize method is always going to return you the object. Okay, it's always going to return you the object. Any deserialize method, it could be deserialize untyped, deserialize strict. Every deserialize method return type is object. Okay, now what you said is, you said I want to deserialize this string into this class. Okay, this is my class, which is a wrapper class which we have created out of JSON. So if as we are deserializing in this class, our type cost will always be into that class only, because object cannot, you cannot use object, you cannot do something like say uh, you cannot say object obj. Even let's say you do this, like if you do this, let's say you have done this, you cannot say it should be obj. Okay, you cannot say obj dot results. You cannot do that because there is no variable called as result in this class object. So you have to convert it. An object is the parent, and this open case reverse response wrapper is a child. So that's why you have to typecast from parent to child. So typecast from parent to child is always going to be within the curly brackets, which are also known as moon brackets, and then the name of your class. And this should be exactly same whatever you have done here. So if you are saying list of reverse geocoder response wrapper dot class, it should be converted into list. If you are saying single, it should be single, and the same should be here, because anything which is there on the left hand side will get calculated first and then it will get assigned to the right hand side only if the data type of both sides are same. If both types are not same, you will never be able to typecast it or assign the value. I hope it's clear now.
Yeah, I'm referring to a couple of videos of yours, like regarding the typecasting in triggers, like map need to be typecast, and also in what was that roll-up summaries while we are querying the results, we are typecasting. So we're just trying to understand, but I will try to look into that one.
Yeah, and in most of the cases you will see typecasting will only appear in case of you have a super class, you have a super interface, and you want to get the ones which are below to that, then you will be able to typecast.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not that much that I would say difficult concept, but you might not have used it on a regular basis. That's why you might not be getting it clearly, but you will be, I think, getting it.
Sure, Amit. I will look into this one. Thanks.
Yep. So
Amit,
now,
sorry.
yes, Sagar. Sorry, Ravi.
Is
Go
there
ahead.
is there a short clip or a video you have made on this null coalescing, which is on 950 wrapper question mark results question mark size? Because
No, actually, I haven't made it. There are many people who have created, so I thought of not creating it.
okay, what happens if a wrapper doesn't have any data in it?
It's not going to fail. So basically, now let me translate it. It's something like this. Let's say there are two people. Okay, there is a compiler and this. So compiler and runtime in which is those are talking. Okay, let's say the compiler is there, and then there is a person called the runtime environment. Definitely there is going to be a runtime environment. Okay, both are going to talk now. Now let's say, because this error is not going to come at the time of compile, it's going to come at the time of error which
Runtime.
is runtime. Okay, now what this runtime environment, whatever machine it is there, okay, there would be a machine which is there would be a code written behind this machine will say, let's take this result, this particular statement came into the picture. Now what will happen, machine will say, does wrapper is not null. Okay, forget about the statement, I'm sure it's not a correct statement. Okay, but it says, let's say if wrapper not null, if the answer is yes, If the answer is yes, that means it's not null. Then it will say, now tell me if the wrapper.results is not null. It says wrapper.results is not null. If the answer is yes, then it will say, now tell me if the size of this results is greater than 0. If this says yes, then only the next set of lines are going to be executed. If the answer to any of those is no, nothing will happen. The only thing is that code will not get executed.
So nothing in the if block will be executed if wrapper itself is null.
Not yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
It's basically a fail safe.
Fail safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like we have talked about, right? This is nothing. This is a representation of another if with multiple conditions, where we say if wrapper is not null and result not null and size is greater than 0, like that.
Okay.
Okay. So we have already deployed this. We have already deployed this code into the org. I'm again doing it for re-verification purpose. And now we are going to run this. Let's get rid of this. Now we are going to run this code, and if everything is okay, we would be able to see the result, and we will be able to see some sort of updates happening on our account with this account ID. So let's go ahead and execute it. And we actually got no error, at least the runtime. And if you go to debug only, okay, we have got this whatever debug we have. And if you go to account and refresh this page, I think billing street should be changed. And you see here, the street has been changed, right? I
Yes.
can't pronunciate it, but the street has been changed. That means the update has been made by the API. Now you can always go and change the other things, like let's change it. So we have got billing city, then we've got billing state, postal code, and country. Right, this is what we've got. So for city, I guess we have got city, and then for country itself, we've got country. For postal code, it's post code. And for state, it's state itself. So it's pretty straightforward for every single thing. Oh, maybe if you want, you could also do the same for instead of billing, we could say shipping. So because the shipping address is kind of blank for our account, so that will update us. So I've got billing and shipping both addresses addressed here in our code, and now we should be able to, if we execute it, we should be able to see the details coming on our account object. The size will also change the debug size. If you want to see if there was a DML happened, you can scroll down, or what you could do is maybe you just right click on the log and say open raw log. So if you click on open raw log, you will see something like this, and then you can search here like op colon, and if you see op colon, it's going to give you the details of your DML, and on top of that you will see all other variables which are having the assignment. Okay, and now if we go ahead and refresh this page, we will be able to see the details of our address which has been changed, and this is done. So this is how kind of the things works in the integration. So what we have done is kind of, we talked about no API authentication, we talked about we talked about no authentication, we talked about no API authentication, and we have also seen how we are going to convert the JSON into Apex class, how we are going to use the result from the JSON to store or to make the changes into our Apex objects. So that is, I think, it for today. We are already 3 hours and somewhere around 45 minutes in the call. So the last maybe 5 to 10 minutes for any sort of question and answers that you guys have remaining.
Yeah, Amit, after we are passing the account ID, can you please recap what we have done?
Okay, so the scenario was pretty simple, that we are going to get a account ID in our method. Okay, and what we will do is, based on that account ID, we are going to query the latitude and longitude, because that is what our reverse geocoding takes. It takes latitude and longitude. It then gives you the result based on that latitude and longitude. So what we said, okay, instead of hard coding the details, please give us the account ID. And then after giving us the account ID, what we will do is we will make the SOQL query on the account object to get the location, latitude and longitude, which we have created as a new field. The data type of that field is geolocation. And we assuming that whatever the account ID we will get, that will always already have latitude and longitude. That's why we have not done the further error handling, like storing it in the list and then checking if there is a record coming for that account ID, all those kind of things. That is a separate part, not related to integration. You could handle that. Once we've got the record, we prepared the query parameters, where we said the first thing is always going to be latitude, the second thing is always going to be longitude, and both are separated with a comma. That is what our API document says. This is not something that we prepared by our own. This is our API document says, and that is what we have followed as per the API document. Okay. And then what we said, okay, now this query params will be dynamically passed as a part of query parameters, which are passed as part of the letter Q. Okay. And then now after this try catch sending the request, what we did is we added a condition saying if there is a success code only 200, that means then only we need to follow all the things. If there is no success, we are going to throw the error or maybe log the error into some logger object. Okay. Later on, now we know that after trying the request from the postman, we know that this is the exact request of a reverse geocoding that we have. Now what we need is we need to get the address. How to get the address? You know that there is a huge JSON with some unwanted keywords that we have, like these all JSON we don't need. Under results itself, we don't need the annotation, we don't need the bounds. Component is what we were more interested into. Rest all status, informed, all these things we really didn't want it. So we took this JSON, we went to a site called codebeautify.org/JSON viewer, pasted our JSON here, and removed all unnecessary components which we didn't needed or which we don't need as part of our uh, process, things like annotation or bounds. So what we did is we get rid of those. Under components itself, we didn't wanted few things, we get rid of those, and this is what we wanted. Then we took the final JSON, we went to another site called admin booster JSON to Apex. We pasted our JSON here after removing whatever was already there in the JSON text box. We changed the class name. Even if you don't want to change, that is also fine. Clicked on generate Apex code. You got the code. We took this code, stored the code into another class, which is called as open case reverse response wrapper. There were some unwanted keywords like CLS underscore. We have removed those. The classes were privates. We have made those classes as public. And then after we got a success response into our Apex class, we did a deserialize, which is used for converting an string into any Apex class or any custom or standard object. We stored that response into our Apex class, and then again, this is a kind of uh, math that we have done, checking if there is something in the details. If there is, then update the account records, whatever we have already queried on top. So that's what we have done as an overall scenario in terms of open case geocoding. And the next thing that is that you guys need to implement the forward geocoding. And one extra step that you might need to do is, after preparing this query parameters, you might need to do the URL encode of that complete query parameter. How you will do that? There is a class called encoding utils, and under that class there is a method called, I believe, URL encode or something. You need to use that method to encode the URL, your complete string, in terms of URL encode. So this class you can always go and search for encoding util plus Salesforce. If you do that, you'll find the class, and the method would be URL encode, if I'm right. Yes, URL encode. Provide your input string, and encoding scheme is always going to be UTF-8. So just provide your URL whatever you want. So that's what we have done as an overall. How your request will be prepared, this is how, like street, postal code, I think, then whatever it is, state, country, that's how your request is going to be prepared. I hope it's clear.
Thanks, Amit.
Yeah.
Yep. So can anyone tell me what's the difference between query parameter and URI parameters?
In query parameters, I think each of them are separated. No. In URL parameters, each of them is separated by, say, a parameter equals to something. But in query parameters, not necessarily.
Okay. Anyone else? No worries. Maybe we will take these questions when we start the next session, or maybe you can also take this as assignment to understand what exactly the query parameters are and how those works, and what exactly the URI parameters are and how those works.
Amit, I think query parameters are just extension to the base, base URL.
Okay.
So that we can, inside the query, we can pass the parameters, and accordingly we can get the data in from the API, like from the another system. But regarding URI parameter, I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think let's take this as assignment, and yeah, let's see who all is going to do that. So yeah, as an assignment, please complete that forward geocoding. I'm assuming that you all will do that, so I don't need to check it. But I don't know. I can ask someone to start sharing your screen and showcase the demo or maybe code what you have done for forward geocoding.
Good
Oh,
idea.
Okay.
yeah,
Amit,
yeah.
from next time we are meeting Saturday, Sunday, no?
Yes, we are meeting Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, it would be really great if we can have a hard stop at 3 hours. I mean, if everyone agrees, because today it was such an interesting session. I could not think of asking, but yeah, 4 hours. I think I got really tired. I have never been sitting for that much long.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, the plan itself is to hard stop as 3 hours, but I don't think it will ever happen, to be honest. But we'll try.
Yeah, you are always um, going in great depth to help us explain and be clear with the facts.
Yeah. So we will try. We will try to maybe wrap up within 2.5 hours and then have something for Q&A.
Thank you. That will be great.
Yeah,
Yep.
he,
Yep.
he always explain in a depth. That's why I'm following him consistently from last 3 years on YouTube.
Yeah.
Good. Good
Thank
to
you.
So am
hear.
I. Yeah.
Amit, how will we get the recordings of this one?
We will share. We will share. Don't worry. You have enrolled to the course, right? There only you will get the recording.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
And next week also timings are same. 9 only Saturday. Sunday.
Yes. 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 Yes.